Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everybody to this Town of Cedar Lake Planning Commission April 6, 2022 work session. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bob. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Here.
Mr. Foreman?
Present.
Mr. Sharp?
Here.
Ms. Sauer? Present. Mr. Becker will be absent. Mr. Kapora?
Present.
Mr. Wilkening?
Here.
Mr. Oliphant?
Here.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Mr. Salatas?
Present.
Ms. Kuzma? Present. Ms. Abernathy? Present.
Okay, first order of business. I'd like to welcome Christina to the crew. Keep the ship sailing. If anybody hasn't met her, please do. Agenda item number 1, Starcevic, final plat, one lot subdivision. Owner petitioner Tom Starcevic, 5716 North Rockwell, Chicago, Illinois. Vicinity 7615 West 142nd Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a final plat for a one lot subdivision. Good evening.
Good evening, Tom Starcevic, 5716 North Rockwell, Chicago, Illinois, 66659, requesting a final plat for one lot subdivision.
Okay. Don, where are we at with this?
Good to go.
Good to go.
I just reiterated the waivers that were approved at preliminary plat in our March 17th letter, but everything else has been addressed.
Okay. Mr. Austin?
All good.
All good? Planning Department? All good?
All good?
Chris, you good?
I'm good.
All right. This was the easiest meeting.
The easiest one I've ever had.
With gas prices like this, you sure didn't need to make it this short.
Oh, no doubt.
Does anybody have any questions on this item? Mr. Starcevic?
No, sir.
Oh, sir. Okay, see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good evening.
Yeah,
Take
have a
care.
good night.
Okay, item number 2, Weir's Electric Power Solutions LLC, preliminary plat for one lot subdivision site plan, owner John Darlene Boersma, 11703 Upper Peninsula Drive, St. John, petitioner Electric Power Solutions LLC, PO Box 712, St. John. Vicinity is 128 Wicker Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a final plat for a 2-lot subdivision and site plan. Good evening.
Good evening, Jack Hulls from DBG, representing the petitioner this evening. Christina should have some communication from the petitioner on this matter. Both the request for the subdivision and for the site plan are being withdrawn
In totality.
in totality.
Okay. Okay. Don, I have to ask, where was that stormwater?
Gone through one review of it.
It was
discussions about it.
It was extensive?
Well, no, extensive, but safe to tell you.
Yeah, I don't think that was the issue.
Okay. All right. I know that was what was slowing everything down a little bit. Okay. Thank you, Jack. Move on to item number 3. Silver Meadows rezone.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
back to number 2 a second.
Yes.
So you're gonna remove this from the agenda, it won't be on the upcoming agenda, this is withdrawn.
That would be our request.
Okay?
That would be our expectation.
Do we have to mention it at the public meeting then? Or is this as good the way it is?
Well, are you gonna deny their withdrawal?
No.
I mean,
I'm just
my
asking if it happens.
point, I viewed it as a kind of a notice, a ministerial notice,
Okay.
they're out.
Okay. All right, well, this will be removed from the
That's a bummer.
agenda. Well, as the
That'd have been a good
as the
spot
building
for
got
business.
as the building got smaller, something had to go.
That's too bad.
Okay. Item 3, Silver Meadows rezone. Owner, Town of Cedar Lake, P.O. Box 707, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioners Diamond Peak Group, LLC, 1313 White Hawk Drive, Crown Point. Vicinity is 155th and Parish Avenue. Petitioners requesting a rezone from agricultural to planned unit development.
Hello, Jack Hulls from DBG, representing the petitioner on this item. Silver Meadows is requesting a PUD. As you know, the attorney, Mark Anderson, was here last meeting. We have been retained to do the engineering and plating work on that subdivision. There's a lot of work to do. I would request that this item be not put on your agenda until we've worked out all the details with staff, and then it can return to your agenda item, unless you want us to be here every month, but we're going to be preparing the documents that are required for the petition.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I know there's some ownership things that have to be worked through, and perhaps the buggy's a little before the horse, but
And I think that's part of the reason why the petition was on the agenda.
yeah.
So.
I want to make mention that I know we have an ordinance for parks and things, but we do have a new park board, and I'm going to ask that submissions from developers regarding the park, not only that we get them, but the park board gets those, along with the amenities, and perhaps even the elevations. I know that kind of happens now, but I'd like the park board's input on some of these items. So, just shoot from the hip, how many phases is this going to be? Because there's a sewer tap issue.
Correct,
that
yeah,
exists,
so those are part of the issues that I need to work out with the planning department as to how we're gonna proceed, given the timelines that are in front of us.
Okay. All right, do any of the commissioners have any thoughts or comments, questions?
About how long will it take for this to transpire?
I would anticipate a submittal probably May, June for the following months.
Okay.
Plan commission, I think probably May for June is a little salty, or a little tall, but we can try.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else?
Nope, makes sense.
Mr. Roshan?
Yes, the town's waiting for your client to complete transaction. I think this is the parcel, isn't it? 40 acres?
Yeah.
It is. Town is closing on financing tomorrow for the purposes for which the swap exchange occurred. And there's more money behind it. The project's anticipated to start immediately. I think your client knows that, but it's kind of difficult talking through a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I will
No
make sure that they
response.
reach out to you. I'm not privy to any of those.
Well, it affects you though, because you're standing here in front of us, you don't have standing to be doing so without the town signing the application, which has not happened. And for the transaction that public hearings and transactions took place by the town council have not been consummated over a month's period of time. Simple deed exchange.
That's why I was asking some of those questions, because this to me is still a concept.
Right, and that's why I asked for the item to be not on your agenda on a monthly basis until we get these matters worked out.
Okay.
I hope it's not months, given the commitment the town has made
Right.
to the financing and completion of that Lake Dredge or Lake Ecosystem Restoration Project. So,
They're aware of it.
they need to be aware of it on this record. You need to take it back to them.
Yeah, and I will, for sure.
I'm chasing an attorney right now.
Excellent.
No wonder nobody can get a hold of him. Y'all are a doctor.
For different
You guys know who to call first?
Yeah, we call first.
Get that.
Okay, does anyone else have anything?
No.
Chris, Christina, anything? Okay, thanks, Jack.
Perfect.
I know you're the messenger, but
Yeah, no, I get it.
you are the messenger.
I kind of expected something to come out, so.
Item 4, 141 Partners LLC rezone, owner Mike Newbauer, 8913 West 142nd Place, Cedar Lake. Petitioner 141 Partners LLC, vicinity is 10702 West 141st Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a rezone from ag to B2. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Russ Posey with DVG team, representing with the owner, Mike Newbar, excuse me. You've seen our concept plan before. We were here before you with the self-storage facilities and then the offices in front. We showed you the renderings. That has all stayed the same. And we're just rezoning from the ag to the B2 to get this process moving. And, engineering is ongoing. And obviously, Mike did a great job with these renderings, so you know what kind of product you're going to get. And all the comments from concept obviously are included in our design that we are proceeding with.
Okay, it was a very nice rendering.
Yes.
This is considered the exhibit, though.
Correct.
And nothing's changed since we talked last. Okay. Does anyone have any questions, concerns about this, Don? No? Okay. Dave?
So this item is for the zone change only, not the
That's
plat and
what it says here,
site
yes.
plan.
Just rezone, correct.
They're coming in for that first and second stages.
Are you, sorry, you done?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to build this all at once, or is this going to be over a?
It would be phases, probably 2 phases. So roughly on that rendering, roughly the buildings up to the retention pond will be the first phase, and then behind there, as we grow.
I think you should consider a real number for the phases, so we have something there in short order, nothing forever.
So you're kind of requesting probably a part of the, record plan set, a phase exhibit with some general dates, phase 1 completed.
Ish. I mean, over a year or two period, maybe. That's what I'm thinking. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask Russ a question?
Yeah, good.
Absolutely.
Hey, Russ, what software you guys use to do that?
That's this guy right here.
You made that?
I didn't make it, I hired
You
someone
have
to make it.
Pretty sweet. 3D view like that?
It costs like $80 too, so don't tell the engineer.
Yeah, well.
It's really nice,
Now,
yeah.
there's a site called Fiverr, so it's like people all around the world that are just very skilled at doing things. And they do it
Fiverr
for-
did this?
Yeah,
Fiverr does everything.
yeah. So, just very
You're
skilled
like
people
Amazon.
out there that
Better.
know how to do
Quicker
cool
when I
stuff.
called up. Wow.
Okay.
It's cool.
Any other questions on anything? No? Christine, all good?
Yeah, so they also have a petition set to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals for special use to allow the storage facility.
Okay, and that will be next Thursday?
That will be, well, no, that meeting got canceled.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That'll be in May.
Okay, all right.
No.
All right, Heather, good?
I'm good, thank you.
John?
Good, yeah.
John?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for the early feedback.
Okay, item 5, MacArthur Elementary School, preliminary plat for one-lot subdivision, rezone and site plan. Owner petitioner, Crown Point Community School Corporation, 200 East North Main Street, Crown Point. Vicinity, MacArthur Elementary School, 12900 Fairbanks. Petitioner is requesting a one-lot subdivision and a site plan. The other request is petitioner is requesting a rezone from R2 to PUD. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Todd Terrell. I'm the superintendent of Crown Point Schools, and we're excited to be here with you this evening. Excited about the opportunities that are in front of us and partnering with Cedar Lake, looking at, as you guys know, the many houses that are coming here to Cedar Lake, but also in Crown Point. And with that comes the challenge that we are facing of making sure that all of our elementary schools, that our middle schools, our high school is ready to handle the influx of people as they move to our area. Part of that then comes to looking at getting all of our elementary to a level where they can maintain a level of students across the district. And as we look at that, it comes that we need to do some remodeling of buildings to get them up to the standards that we expect for our students to be able to attend school in. Also the size of those buildings as well. And that's what's brought us here this evening. With that, we want to do some major updates to MacArthur Elementary School, along with an addition there as well, that will put us at a capacity of about 700 students. And that's our goal across the district, that all of our elementaries will be at that level, with that 700 number in mind. So with that, we need to add some additional classrooms. We want to increase and improve the learning environment for our students, our teachers, our staff, looking at the addition of a gym, looking at redoing the cafeteria so that we can service those students in a good manner and provide the services that we need. So tonight I'd like to introduce you. I brought a few individuals with me. If you looked at the information that was submitted before the meeting, there's a lot of information there. And with that, we have a lot of experts who have helped put that information together and can speak to some of those issues much better than I. I'd like to introduce Cheryl Zick as our attorney. She's in the back row there. Jim Thompson from Gibraltar, and you'll hear more from him in just a moment. Dion Castoris from Skillman, and Don Turinga from Turinga Engineering. At this time, I'm going to ask Jim Thompson if he'd come up to the podium, and he's going to walk us through the presentation that has been prepared for you, and we anticipate taking questions and trying to provide as many answers as we can for you as we go through the presentation and then again at the end of the presentation. Anything before I turn it over to Jim?
Nope, good strategy.
This is, I do have a question. Yes. This concept has already been presented. So is this just a reiteration of the same? Is that what we're doing here?
It is a reiteration of it. We also, though, since the last presentation of it, we have acquired additional land to go along with the school.
So there are some changes?
There are some changes to go with it.
All right,
yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. Appreciate being here in Cedar Lake. Gibraltar Design, I'm Jim Thompson, architect and president of the company. We are a focused firm serving pre-K through 16 public education across the state of Indiana, including places like Vincent University, and then we love our school districts that we serve. We've been up here in Lake and Fork County with Skillman Corporation and our firm doing numerous schools, and as I said, we're all over the state of Indiana as far south as Santa Claus and so forth. You have a beautiful community here. Not very often I get to work lakeside, and so it's very attractive, and it's very apparent to Gibraltar Design. You asked about the purpose of tonight. We felt like as a courtesy you would appreciate seeing some clarifications and the modifications that were made. Some at the request and collaboration with your town leadership administratively. Others result in even further benefits and initiative taken by the school district relative to the small parcel of additional land they were able to acquire. So what I'd like to do is I have to turn to your town manager. So I plugged it in, and it can go quickly through the illustrations, but it's not showing up. Do you have a way of switching the VTA?
I think there's an input button on the side of that, or Don, can you get it from up there?
On the board, you mean?
Yeah, because he's plugged into the board directly.
Do you have a thumb drive in the computer already? Or in the board?
No, you connected your laptop to it.
I did. I brought a thumb drive.
Oh, it's here.
Oh.
Okay.
Transfer. If we could just switch it, it might go faster. I got the
You
remote.
can just switch the...
Clip on.
Is it on your phone, your thumb drive?
Presentation? No, the presentation is in my pocket. It's on a thumb drive.
Oh, I can put it in here and just switch it. That may make it easier versus us trying to
Do you
figure
have a
it
remote
out. No. I can just tell you when, you can tell me and I'll click on that.
Just the PDF. It should be right there when you open the drive. Thank you. So while that's happening, I apologize for that little hiccup. The couple of things that I think would be worth noting, as Dr. Terrell said, the school district has, for years now, made a priority of updating, modernizing, and providing the very best opportunities for the school children in your community here and for the district. And elementary learning is certainly very important. I look at this building, we look at this building as a new elementary school because the willingness for the district to invest will, I think, for everyone that would go into school or drive by the school that knew it before, they would see it as a transformation and a complete 21st century modernization. So it is a thorough, purposeful, methodical, budget-conscious effort. I think something else that, when we talk about students, the students, it's a future-forward thinking. So, as you know, with school districts, or may not know, they just don't go from 400 to 600 overnight. It's a transitional movement. So when we say future-forward thinking and we think about 700, who's to say it'll actually reach 700 students? Because it's less than 500 now, 450-some students, which is a really nice size. So when you have attractive school district, attractive community to live in, your doors are open. You can't turn people away. So schools, particularly really good ones, grow. What I'd like to also do is, so this is just an elevation of what the new school would look like. That's probably not the purpose of why we're here tonight. Can you go to the, so the reason we provided you a letter is we wanted you to see the planning team. If you're not aware, Indiana certifies school safety specialists, school safety officers, and the letter from Gibraltar Design on the first page summarizes the planning team with several school safety certified in Indiana specialists. The reason that would be important is, sadly, the time we live in and the history of tragic incidents. So that includes not just buildings planning, or architecture, it includes site planning and how students are walking to the site, how students are on the site, how they're at the playground, there's safety there. And the third thing it includes is administrative practices. And this district is very proactive in administrative practices within the building, the wonderful principal, Mary, and those things that are going on there. So I wanted to cover all our bases with the site planning relative to what's important to school safety for the students and the staff and visitors. So I'd like to next go to the booklet. And as you pointed out, you've seen most of this information before, so I'm going to go fairly quickly, not to be rude, but if you want to stop me, you certainly can, or we can go back. So if we go to the next, we just scroll down, there you go. So you had the site up there a moment ago, which you have there, and to orient you, right to the right is north. So just for illustrative purposes, so Fairbanks at the bottom, 129th is going top to bottom, and you see the school site there. We go to the next slide, aerial photo. That's kind of showing, if you think about what parents like to do now, we call them car riders. Students come and go by car, but you have a district where parents like to have their students walk, and they have buses. Many students still do ride the bus, though. But this is a drone photo that shows, it's taken from a drone video, but it just kind of shows one of the more busy times, although it's hard to tell because there's maybe 15 or 16 cars on 129th Street, which is where the car rider queue is. So in the afternoon, that's busy time. Grandparents, parents get there early, they wait, so that 10 or 12 cars wait until it's time to dismiss the kids. And then that transaction is happening on 129th Street, which we've improved and will change. We'll show that to you.
Now, I was told that there's been 34 with the drone.
There can be, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's important. So if you think about the car rider, so moms and dads come a little late. Some get super early on Friday because they want to go out of town. So it can vary for sure. You're absolutely right. It can vary. We see like Christmas, the day before Christmas break, you might have 38 cars. Rainy days, parents and the kids want to get on the bus, so there might not be as many. And the school districts have a practice of allowing the parents to decide. So a bus stops, no kid, they keep going, that parent is driving the kid to school. That's helpful. Morning time, it's not so, driver expectancy is erratic, right? Mom's rushing out late to work, takes the kid, or, so you don't have that bell ringing, end of school day, car queue. Although many school districts employ a car queue, and this district has chosen to improve the site with a car queue, which can be used for both morning and afternoon. But just to be clear, the morning traffic, driver expectancy, traffic engineering aspect of that is random, right? Because the kids can arrive any time before the first bell rings, unlike buses that are controlled arrival. So if we go to the site plan, that's just some factoids. There's really weren't very many bus parking spaces on the site. It was a small school, smaller school. So this shows you movement. There's just some factoids as we pause on this. Less than 80 parking spaces, and now we have over 200. We had a bus parking increase and also an improvement with how the buses move on and off the site with straight line movement from 2 curb cuts, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then you have the car rider queue that we just mentioned, and that is the red lines you see at the top of the page, and that is the parcel that the school district purchased, which allowed them to make that car rider queue even more improved than before, last time you saw it, increasing the number of cars to over 100 that can sit and wait, like a car wash would do. And then, to be clear, the school district practice and the best practices are students are identified, and then they are put in the car. It's not a random free-for-all, let's go get in the car operation. So typically, but not always, maybe 10 or 12 cars will move up in line. Those 10 or 12 students will get in, brothers and sisters, they might get in the same car as they're identified, and then that group leaves, and then the next group comes up. And it's a smooth, methodical, learned behavior by the parents. So that is what we have done with the property there and increased that. And then as a request, with working with the town, at the bottom right, there is a parking lot. We would call it like the front entrance parking lot, the main office parking lot. You do not need a tremendous number of cars necessarily at the front main entrance, but you want to be able to let a mom or a dad pull in, park, and bring medicine in, or if they come in at the middle of the day and they need to go to the main office, say, here's Bobby's homework, and they forgot it, and so that happens. And that entranceway already existed for the main parking lot, but it was requested by the town that it be shifted and aligned with 129th Street, which is across from Fairbanks here. So we went ahead and did that, and made that change since you last saw this. So the two changes, biggest changes you saw for tonight, this more improved traffic flow here and this parking lot in alignment with Fairbanks. So I'll pause here. Do you need more explanation about the two big improvements that were made to this campus since you last saw it? Would you like more information?
I do not. The concept drawings are fairly straightforward.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to know what is this ride share thing you're talking about on 129th?
Okay, sure.
Does anybody else have any questions about what we just presented?
No.
Okay.
No, I like the changes that you guys made.
Okay.
I think it makes more sense.
We got everything in order. Appreciate that. Well, to answer your question, I want to go to the visuals, try to anticipate questions. So if we move forward, as a car rider diagram, how can we pause there? I won't read those little points to you, sir. Mr. Rokening and for everyone else here, so 129th Street was, as long as we know, for the school, was utilized for the car rider function. So students are dismissed by a bell, and then the car rider students come to an entrance exit, and I'll call it the transaction of the child getting in the car was happening on 129th Street. A couple of observations and things that I heard. I heard I believe it was the police chief who was in our planning meeting a few weeks ago, said that this is a good intersection here for moms and dads to turn right or left on Fairbanks after they picked up their child. Think of it this way, it was working on 129th Street, we've made it even better, so better. But I just wanted to affirm that, and our traffic engineer that we consulted confirmed that's where that should happen. There aren't many choices, right? Fairbanks.
Well, you're adding more cars, we need a better plan, so.
Yeah, so getting them off the street was very important. So what we did was we took all of that off of this street, and then they come in, and and then they line up, and there's 3 lines there. So ultimately, they could line up in 3 lines. I'm going to suggest that the school start with 2 lines until it becomes apparent 3 lines is necessary, because 3 lines requires 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 2 lines is just alternating, right? So again, drivers, moms on their phones, you know. So, but they leave the town street and come onto the school property so that they have a learned behavior, they know what that is, and more importantly, cars are identified and students are identified and placed. What they do then is circle around, I keep saying transaction, not that these little learners are about this tall and have big smiles, but you know, it's a transaction. So they want that on the right side, so they tell parents, car seats, put them on the right side, please. No, we don't want your child to get in the front seat unless they're a certain age, right, 5th graders. So that happens on the right side of the vehicle along this very long curve. So we made this very generous. So depending on, you know, number of cars per set of transactions, these cars come around, and then they, typically in the windshields now, there's either a number or a name. So I'm Thompson. And so they know there's 2 Thompson kids in MacArthur, so they see my car come up with Thompson in the windshield, 2 kids are identified, put in my car. And then the cars come out and turn right, and then they go either right or left on Fairbanks, depending on their ultimate destination. I'll use this slide to indicate this whole operation is as far as possible and separate from buses. Even though buses are district employees, and the bus will win the battle between a car and a bus, we like to keep them separate. And so that is happening here, and it's straight in. The buses line up, they unload on the right, and then they come around, and we made a nice straight line here so that buses that are turning right or left can get in their lane. I've driven a school bus, not so easy to just get into the next lane, so you try and be generous to the drivers. And so that maneuver's given them a nice straight movement, separate from the car rider. Mr. Rookins, that answer, or anybody else had a question about how the car queue works?
No, that sounds better.
Excellent, actually.
Sounds better.
And you're going to accommodate 90 vehicles in that turnaround compared to only having about 34 vehicles on 129th, so you can accommodate a lot more.
Absolutely. 3 times more. It's very future forward thinking.
Yes.
After they pick them up, is it going to be right only then on 129?
Yeah, it should be. There's obviously an interlocal discussion with the SRO, School Resource Officer, and from my observation, this school has very close cooperation with your police force. So yes, typically it's right only.
And the safety officer there is our former chief of police here in Cedar Lake, Dave Colson.
Oh, okay.
I do apologize, as he had planned on being here tonight and is sick, so we thank him for not coming.
So I just have one other administrative item. You know, when I travel all over the state, interlocal government cooperation is so important, right? It impacts tax dollars and community. It affects the speed and time at which things can be done. And you don't have to do anything but wake up in the morning to realize that the construction industry is very volatile right now. Time is money. It's so important to move things expeditiously. So on the town meeting, it was requested or suggested, I think is a better word, that some type of traffic engineer additional analysis be done. And so we did that. Very short time. The school district and professional team engaged in a traffic engineer. And if we just quickly go down to the next PDF document, which would be a letter. There you go, made this real easy. So I won't read the letter to you, just on the screen for visual, because I know it's in your packet or people have seen it. So this is a reputable traffic engineering company, Etica. And what we did was had a professional consultation, and we reviewed video, photos, Google images, street images, traffic patterns, driver expectancy, and most importantly, we went through very carefully the best practices of the site plan to improve the conditions. And I would give this letter grade of A from the traffic engineer, who is also certified for the state of Indiana. Key points, again, won't read the whole letter. Everything I mentioned was in line with their thinking. The 3 Qs, one of their comments was start with 2, because experiences as drivers, if you have 3, they're kind of like, you ever dropped off a rental car and there are like 7 empty lanes, and you're like, which lane am I going in? So kind of think of it as start with the right, the next lane, the next lane. So that was a comment. Another thing that we knew, but he pointed out, was the distance between that car rider exit and 129th Street has been increased because of where it was before. If you think about that transaction was happening closer to 129th Street, so maybe 4 cars could be waiting to turn right or left on Fairbanks. We have backed it up to a very generous traffic engineering best practice that I didn't know, that was over 500 feet to that intersection, so that improvement. Aligning the drive is the traffic engineer for the drive at Fairbanks aligning the exit drive at 129th Street. That's a town decision. So you wanted that aligned, so the school was courteous to do that. And of course the bus movement. The traffic engineer knew about buses, same as me having driven a bus. So that's the summary of how to help everyone who had comments or questions about traffic engineering, how does that analysis work. You have a letter and my brief summary tonight on how traffic engineering is met by this school site improvement. Okay. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm willing to answer any other questions, or Dr. Terrell.
Does anybody have any questions at this moment?
I'm good.
For this gentleman?
Nope, sounded good.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm looking at here are 11 items on Don's report that haven't been addressed. Partially addressed or not addressed is what I counted as 11. Item 1 was the clarify the additional right-of-way along 129th. Don, will you expand on this?
I mean, the additional right-of-way is going to be limited to where they're building it. I think they actually already changed that. I mean, we just haven't gotten a resubmittal since this. They've done a lot of work since this letter.
Okay, all right, well.
I haven't seen these until right now.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure something's forthcoming to address these.
Okay. Okay, well, I don't want to do this 2 weeks from today.
Yep.
From your professional opinion, this whole project seems like they have the car rider situation to pick up and drop off. Seems like a good plan from what I can see on paper. Do you have any
The change from the original one vastly improved. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
Bob's spot on. We actually sat out there for a morning and afternoon rush, and afternoons more. We heard mornings more sporadic, and we counted about 35 cars stacking all the way to the left, just busting more street, more speed.
Bob's gonna blacktop his whole driveway.
Yeah.
For valet.
My driveway is
Valet
black.
parking. Valet parking. No, my question was, with all this extra flow, do we have any concerns about Fairbanks and everybody to the east of Fairbanks?
Like Inland Lake Estate?
Yeah.
No. I mean, 'cause I don't think your bus count's gonna increase a lot there.
Okay.
I mean, it's obviously gonna go up a little bit if your student capacity goes up, but we're around 400 or 450 students right now.
Yes.
Going up to 700 max. I mean,
And
just
max
from
is what you said, 700?
That's what we're looking at for.
And that's the upper max.
I'm sorry?
The top max.
There's only one max.
Well, sometimes the max gets.
Oh, you want a real number, not an adjective. Okay, all right.
And that won't happen,
No, not right away, that's right.
No, I mean, say we have a max of 50 cars picking up at one point, call it the peak, and we're increasing capacity by 60% or so, 5%. Double that, call it 100. Yeah, they have a stacking queue of 100 if they ever really need it. And to be honest with you, it's probably more than that if that doesn't include the actual curb pickup as well.
So, based on what I have here, you're fairly confident that these aren't major items, interfere with
I don't think so. We have to look at, how the engineering drawings reflect these drawings and that fun stuff,
Okay.
So we get that, all reserve comment.
Okay.
With that regard, Mr. Alvin, they've all been updated by Mr. Drenga in a very short order. It just takes a couple of weekends to get it done.
Yep.
And it's all in your hands.
I mean, the biggest hurdle is probably gonna be the actual zoning, actual PUD documents that we haven't seen a first draft of yet.
We haven't seen the first draft.
It's on Friday.
Okay, I haven't seen anything else.
I guess I could have said in the introduction, everything was submitted via Dropbox on Friday morning.
It was also, excuse me for interrupting, but it was also hand-delivered to the town with a letter of transmittal that asked that it please be given to everyone involved, listing the town engineer, the town attorney, the town council, the plan commission, and everyone else.
I didn't see it.
On Friday?
On Friday.
Okay.
This past Friday.
That's correct.
I got a package at 6:14 from Christina that I didn't see any documents over the weekend for sure.
So, okay, so when I came here, the subdivision was filed, right, the subdivision. So this agenda has subdivision, rezone, and site plan on it. And because I didn't create this agenda, just to be like abundantly cautious that I wasn't missing anything, I left that on. Friday, they filed for the PUD and the site plan, which meets the deadline for the May meeting. So that has not been addressed yet.
Okay.
Because we got in quite a few submittals Friday, and I need to, there's stuff that I need to scan in for other petitions, and I assume that I would just send that out as a grouping to you and Attorney Austin.
Well, there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, that's why I'm trying to kind of figure out
Yeah, but
if everybody has everything or it will in short order.
They just filed, so it was the filing deadline, the April 1st filing deadline for the May meeting, for the PUD and the site plan. So this subdivision is the only thing that's been filed for April.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, if we're adhering to the established filing deadlines, that's how the petitions would fall. And then the other concern I have is that if a parcel was added to this, the preliminary subdivision plat does not reflect that unless a new one was included with with the PUD and the site plan.
It is on the north, yes.
Okay, so there's a new
There's
preliminary
a
plat.
preliminary site plan, preliminary plat, primary, whatever you call it, and there's also a PUD final plat,
Okay.
along with all of the PUD documents that were put together by Cheryl. Everything is there. Everything is also on the zip drive, plus I already gave you one zip drive and a Dropbox with everything.
And I apologize, Christina, if town manager, for your review to the town. We met with staff team, including Mr. Austin, on March 10th, and this was the plan we had, and this was the deadline, everything was going to be submitted, and it was submitted on April 1st. That was the concept we had during that meeting. So I apologize if there's misunderstanding, but that was the understanding we all had when we left that meeting, that all of it would be submitted on the 1st to come here tonight to be able to be at the April meeting.
Oh,
for all of it.
See, that's, April 1st.
So there's a miscommunication here somewhere along the way, but that was the understanding we had with the folks.
Okay, so
The town manager was
April
there.
1st is the filing deadline for May, so when things came in on April 1st, I just assumed that that was for the May meeting, so, yeah.
Right, that makes sense, for the PUD and for the site plan.
And, right, so the subdivision plat was advertised, but I do not believe that the legal description is right, because
Correct.
I believe it omits that parcel.
Or does
It's
not
in there.
include?
It does include.
So,
What we submitted includes the new property.
Right, so if,
right, but what came in on Friday,
Included the new property.
so,
so what came in on Friday is correct, but what we've been discussing thus far is without.
But if the legal's not correct on what came in Friday.
It is correct.
It is correct?
It is correct.
Okay.
It is
And
correct.
this presentation aligns with that as do the engineering drawings, so it just sounds like.
So what can we
well,
expect,
submittal.
what can we expect in 2 weeks at this meeting? Subdivision?
Well, subdivision is dependent on zoning.
This is set up for a May public hearing, isn't it? Is that what you understood over there?
so they had filed the subdivision for April,
Exactly.
for the April meeting. But if we're adhering to established filing deadlines, they're filing on Friday, and met the date for the May meeting.
That's what I understood.
Well, it wasn't what we understood when we left here on March 10th. And March 10th, when we all met, Dave was there, town manager was there, your former planning director was there, Mr. Oliphant was there, someone from the fire department, someone from the police department, and representatives of school and the professionals. We asked for a specific timeline and when we could come forward with this project. And from that was, we submit everything for PUD because Mr. Tringa had been here in March, and was told it needs to be PUD, you can't do it, it's just a one-lot subdivision. So we crafted everything to be an application for a PUD, we laid everything out. Our deadline during that meeting was if we got it in by April 1st, April 20th, we could be at a public hearing for this. We walked it through of where it could potentially be in the best case scenario with town council at your June 7th meeting. So no one from this camp ever anticipated we couldn't be before for a public hearing until May. And where that mistake happened, because it's all in our notes of what we wrote down when we left, and that was what we were all gearing to. That's why you already have a plan development plan, development agreement. The civil plans were all changed and updated. The new legal was in there. Everything was redone to accommodate that for that.
So us as a board, we meet the first and third Wednesdays of the month. So if you met on March 10th, which was a Thursday, then this group met with the Plan Commission regular monthly meeting on the 15th of March. Okay?
Which group did?
This group would have met on the 15th of March, which is our meeting where we vote. It's not a work session. However, if your documentation wouldn't have gotten here until Friday, April 1st at noon, naturally, we would have all had to have had it by tonight, correct? And that's the dilemma. So we're gonna try to work with you.
Yeah.
I'm sure our town will, and we will do the best we can.
We appreciate
But
that.
without any of us having yet seen that,
We don't,
it makes it a little tricky.
From our perspective, we don't understand why you hadn't seen it yet, and we assumed you all had seen it since we submitted it. We were of the understanding it would all get distributed to all of you, so you would have had
Right.
several days to review that before this evening.
Yeah, and again, the deadline for the April at noon, I believe, and speaking on behalf of
Last Friday.
our new plan commission, or planning director, is always then for the month of May. Does that make sense?
I hear you.
Right, because.
It's not what was communicated to us on March 10th. That's why we're confused, and the number of timelines
You
for the
bet.
projects are certainly at issue here now.
Well, one thing we do realize is that this, getting rocking and rolling on the school is important. So I think we up here will try to do the best we can, but at the same time, let our professionals take a look at what they need to look at, and perhaps we can craft a plan, Mr. Chairman, that could help. But until everyone sees everything,
I think until
Right.
our professionals.
until they see it, it's difficult.
So something that came in Friday hasn't even been seen by them the following Wednesday night?
Not by us, at least.
Not you, but
They
the
may have.
professionals?
We'll help you. We can, Christina, I know you said you got several submittals and you're brand new here, but we'll help you expedite that, because we need the routine first.
If you could please copy me on that as well.
Have you seen it?
Well, I think the 10th, so we can,
It's all been submitted.
we'll
I get it.
reiterate, I think you
Was
want
Jill here
to,
last week?
I guess Christina has it all, you said your staff knows.
So,
Christina did, so there was a gap.
Gotcha.
But she was here at that meeting.
Yeah.
Planning director.
Yeah, no, that's what we were talking about.
She was not part of that meeting.
No, I
and
know. But maybe you could help.
didn't get the accurate information that was dropped off on Friday.
Where is this packet of information? Please, you know where it is?
it's in my office, I'm in the
Okay, all right. That's good news.
And we understand, it's, you know, when you have changeover,
Yeah.
parts, but,
Yeah.
we, this is a unique circumstance. I appreciate Mr. Foreman
You bet.
trying to figure out a way to, we're motivated, obviously. And, the May that I heard would be, very, very tough for the things we have for the students that are in school and a very challenging construction time.
Well,
We're just a phone call away
Mr.
and we can help.
Yes, sir.
You know, this is it's an incredibly important project for the town. We've had change here. She's been tsunamied. Let me just say it on the record, she's been tsunamied. If you look at the agenda tonight, she's been here 7 days?
8 days.
8 days.
And we wanted to come back on that ninth day. We wanted to be here on that ninth day.
So, notwithstanding what happened on March 10th, and you and I missed each other a couple times, and we could have had this discussion, we're busy. She's busy, I'm busy, you're turning me. our planning person, you may well want to consider this on a special meeting on your first meeting night in May, and conduct a public hearing, special public meeting to conduct a public hearing.
I think that's May 4th.
That would give us an opportunity to properly review the record that everybody's just getting. I mean, you did a dock dump on us on Friday night, or Friday afternoon, whenever it was. That's tough.
That was the timeline we discussed.
I get it, Cheryl, I get it.
You said have everything in order and get it to us by April first,
Okay,
and you did.
and we didn't have the old planning director, she was gone, we've got a replacement. Chris has just been here, what, 6 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that? 7 weeks, holy smokes. Anyway, that'd be a suggestion
So,
to
I
consider,
think
to
that's a good
reset,
idea.
get this
I
clock.
like that,
going.
Dave, I like that a lot.
I think that's a good plan, but I need to know from you guys, is that feasible, May 4th?
We can make whatever happen that you want as long as we meet the requirements for advertising. So I think,
Okay.
yes, I may.
Why don't you, look through that and get us a, little update in an email, and we'll,
Well, Mr. Chairman, I have a question. If we're sitting on the 6th, what
that
if,
was the 4th.
no, today we're sitting on April
Oh,
6th, right?
Yeah.
So what if we did a single item work session for this on the 20th? So that way, when we get to the 4th, we're prepared. Do we need to do that?
You can just put them on the agenda on.
No,
Make it a work session and then a back-to-back?
This, we just,
Add it to the agenda.
True.
I need to know that these 4 people have time to do this.
Right. That makes total
That's the goal.
Sure.
So, John, any thoughts?
Yeah. So I have some information before the meetings, yeah.
Yeah.
Updated information.
Bob, other than loving the idea, do you have any
Right,
thoughts? Do you have any thoughts?
I just wanna work with them so that this
Yeah.
can become a reality.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody, disagrees with you.
Everybody agrees, yep.
However, there's 4 people in this room that have to have what they need, when they need it.
The May council meetings are very important.
Maybe May 4th. It's very important.
May 4th?
No, the.
Town council?
May 17th.
May 17th? Yeah, okay, May 4th and May 17th, I think that would work, wouldn't it, Dave?
Yeah, what we brought you tonight with the confusion and the tsunami that the land of
Yes.
Christina with the intent. It was the old plan in March with the old town.
Understood.
But the goal was to meet the May 4th, just
17th.
17th council meeting. And it sounds like we appreciate, it sounds like we're making adjustments to still make that happen, and that's terrific.
And that still works, right, Dave?
Absolutely.
Okay,
That's
super,
Thank
yeah,
That's exactly
yeah,
why.
yeah.
So the question I have is that May 17th date, that council meeting, is that the final step as far as the approval process? From our side of the table, we're just looking at the timeline as far as capitalizing on the 9 weeks that we have off during summer break to move parking lots, relocate, and that's starting construction in early June.
Yeah.
Provided that all items are on file, they've had a chance to be reviewed, and our plan commission and town council have an opportunity to review and act.
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Great.
Thank you. For the,
For the what, Chris?
that'd be for the PUD, right?
No,
Yeah,
for-
zoning,
for the
yeah, zoning would be,
It's the last step.
right.
May 17th.
Yeah.
We are not asking them to be here on the 20th, just the 4th, correct?
No, they will be around our meeting here. The 17th is the town council meeting.
No, the 20th
Fourth,
of this month.
she's
They
talking
can
about-
come back
Nope.
for a work session portion on the 20th.
No, it'd be the 4th.
Probably not,
No.
if nothing's changing,
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
you need to bring them back.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, if nothing changes,
Happy to
you
see
make
you
a
again, but-
presentation.
Ultimately, we're gonna be looking for correspondence from Dave, Don, Chris, and Christina.
May 4th is gonna be a public hearing. May
It's gonna be a special public
Special
hearing just for this item.
Special public
But
meeting.
they haven't seen it in a, what I'm hearing tonight is you haven't seen it, and your professionals haven't seen it, right?
Yes, but they were by the 4th, to be ready.
So the question, I guess, was, I think Chris was asking, or someone was asking, was this, do we need to be here as a study session on April 20th, just so there's no confusion when we get to May 4th?
That's what I think should be.
I don't.
I don't wanna burden your schedule
I
and
don't
your
wanna
agenda,
know.
but I don't want there to be.
Well, we don't wanna
Yeah.
burden yours either.
I think if Don has a list of concerns, that may be in order, but I think we need to play that by ear.
Can we have a date certain when we might, I'm not trying to put pressure on you, when we would know that we would need to be on the agenda for that, that's
How
all I'm
many
asking.
hours, 72 hours before we have to advertise?
15.
Advertise after our work session.
Okay, we're good
Put them
then.
on the agenda.
Hold on.
Okay.
We'd be there for
You can put it on, maybe put us on and then pull us off if you don't think we need to be here.
Hold on. What was the answer for advertising?
I mean, if we're just doing like a work session and you're not
Yeah.
taking any action, that's
It
fine.
can be an update item.
Well, I think an update item on the 20th would be good. If any of you think any of these people should be here, then they need to be here.
And you can let them know
Yeah.
at a later point, you don't need to tell them.
Yeah, let them know.
By the 15th, is that too late? That's that Friday.
We'll make it.
Well, I think we're all gonna put it on
We're
our
motivated.
calendar and
I
let
see.
you tell us next.
We're motivated.
Yeah, we will do whatever we've got to do to, as Dion mentioned, to hit that 9-week window this summer is just vitally important for this project, but then for every other elementary school that is getting touched as well, as we begin to look at redistricting a year from this August. We have to have all of them at a certain spot before we can do that, and so it's really driving all of that.
You guys are gonna be starting this parking lot thing at 5 a.m.?
4.
Bob will make you.
Bob's up by then. Bob's breakfast.
They'll bring coffee.
Okay.
Rise and roll is what I hear.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this sounds like a pretty good plan. Any updates on the 20th and special public meeting on the 4th for this item?
Town council 17.
Town council 17.
Done.
Appreciate that.
Everybody good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thanks good night.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tell Mr. Colson we said hi.
Will do.
Watch your track. Down the street. Where a guy? Huh? Hey, who's he working Okay. On to agenda item number 6. NYBY Development Corporation Concept Plan. Owner, Lay and Josephine Del Rosario, 9857 North Hickory Lane, St. John. Petitioner, NYBY Developmental Corporation, 1370 Dune Meadows Drive, Porter, Indiana. Vicinity is 9710 West 133rd Avenue in Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a concept plan. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Doug Homeyer with McMahon. I'll be the surveyor and engineer. With me is Mr. David Lee, president of NIBE Development.
And then this is Marty Thacker with MTI Service Center.
And at this time, the owner of the property is...
Yeah, we closed on the property on May 25th, so Knight Development is now the owner of the property.
Okay, Don, can you zoom in on this?
It's the two parcels,
That's the scooter shooters.
yes. There's gonna be an empty parcel right next to the scooter, and then it's the two parcels just to the west of that.
Hold on. Hold on.
Yes.
Hang on, I can't hear. There's gonna be an empty parcel next to Scooter Shooters.
Yes.
And you're gonna be on the other two parcels.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, got it.
We took a building down on that property.
Yeah, the old airport control tower. Okay,
So what we're planning on, what they're planning on is about a 5,500 square foot building, very similar to the one that we did in Winfield, and they also have one in Crown Point. David did all the filing on this, so I'm not sure what you have there And he was one that met with Jill and your staff early on, all the way back in September. And as we filed this thing for the concept and worked with your town staff on this, according to Jill, that this was submitted before the deadline so that it's B3, it's already zone B3, and even though we have 28,000 square feet and change for the small lot, it is before the new ordinance, which is going to be requiring 40,000 square feet. And so with that, you know, it is a very small lot to do what we have. And with the layout we have, Don, I've sent Don drawings, and he brought it to our attention that due to that, it is considered, with the drive in the parking lot, that's still residential. That being said, the west side setback line and the rear setback line is 15 foot and 30 foot, in which the building would have to ask for a variance in order to make this concept plan that you're seeing work. And the one parking spot that is in our southeast corner goes over the front setback by about 2 feet. We do have additional parking than we need. We could take that out, or if you'd like, you know, we could seek the variance for that couple of feet there for that southeast parking spot.
If Mr. Oshin, if a petitioner files an application before we vote on a new zoning ordinance, does that mean we gotta use the old ordinance? You do?
Yeah, I like discussed this with
That seems odd, right?
Jill before I submitted it. I wanted to make sure, hey, you know, because we've got this ready to go. If I get this in, are we gonna be under the old ordinance? And she confirmed with me, yes.
Okay. Because the new ordinance is better for you.
Oh, it is?
Than the old ordinance.
Oh, okay, well, because one of the main things she discussed with me was the D3 lot size being, you know, just under an acre was a requirement. So that was, you know, the biggest thing I was concerned about, because when she looked through it, that was the main thing she brought up with me. But, yeah.
We're here to work with the town,
Yeah,
whatever is like.
Whatever works.
We will be also going through the one-lot subdivision process, so that we bring these two parcels and make it a one-lot subdivision as we're going through this.
And just to give you an idea too, the building that we'd like to, our proposed building for this is gonna be almost identical to a building that we put up in Winfield. It'll be a mixture of brick and wood composite siding, so it's a nice looking building. Just to give you guys an idea, here's the building we put up in Winfield. So I mean, yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a nicer looking building. It's not, you know, a metal post and beam or anything like that, or wood post and beam. It's gonna be a wood frame building with a brick veneer and a smart side siding.
So it's gonna be a wood framed building?
Yes. Yes, it will be wood framed. Originally, I was gonna do metal post and beam, but I wanted it to look nice, since it's on your main thoroughfare. So that's why I decided to do a wood frame with the brick and wood composite veneer.
Could you show that to the rest of us?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes. If you guys wanna take it and pass it around, this is the building in
So it
Winfield.
looks to me like you're gonna have, just 3 doors on this building.
So you've got
East and west and south side.
You're talking about overhead doors or?
Yeah, overhead doors.
Just 2 doors. You got 1 door on the south side and 1 door on the,
east side.
On the east side. This is the building in Winfield, just this.
So, Doug, you said the variance may be for where? The south side?
The north and the west side.
You guys want to see it too?
North and west side, okay. So there won't be an overhead door on the north side?
Overhead door here, they'll come in here, and you know, these
Yeah,
are
just
two entrances.
2 overhead doors, one to enter and one to
You're coming in
leave.
the south side and going out the east side?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Okay, so you guys don't even have.
Oh, well, I don't know, we got a few goodies.
We have a bunch of stuff.
We got the little, we got the little version of
Yeah, we might
this.
have it.
I've only
I
got
can
electronic.
bring, I got a nice big version.
No, I just,
Do that. And then, see how that parking spot is just a foot over?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got one more parking spot than required, but we'd like to have that spot there rather, and then, ask for the variance over the
Yeah.
setback. These are items that Don brought up when I submitted to Don, so, thanking him for his eye on that.
Mr. Austin, Chris, when you bring in a concept, do you need to make application for a concept?
No, not under our codes.
Okay, so this was a strategy to get the application in before the concept.
There's a concept plan check box
Box on
on the application. Along with
There is,
plan.
there's nothing, not a word in the ordinances about it.
Fair.
It's just on the application, kind of describes what's going on.
Well, this sounds,
That's gonna change, with the rules. and
this
regulations.
sounds like a pretty nice addition to town. But I will say that the screening is gonna be extremely important.
As far as like, for the apartments behind and stuff?
Both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The west side.
North side and the west side. Yeah.
And are you wanting to see like vegetation or a fence or?
Well, that's up to you to submit. We don't design things here.
Okay.
We do have criteria.
Sure, and that was.
It's spelled out in our,
Yeah.
Okay, but could we ask the board if they had a preference, what would you like to see? Obviously, you're giving us one or the other, but, is there a preference that you guys would like?
I'll tell you what we see a lot of berms and,
There's no room for a berm.
no room for a berm. Okay, well, that takes care of that.
Utilities in that corridor too.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think like arborvitae, there's?
Yeah, you can do arborvitae,
Yeah.
they can be a certain thickness, they have to be
Okay.
several of them, or it can be a six foot opaque fence, stuff like that. But
Okay.
we do recognize that there is sanitary and water on your north line,
Mhm.
and utilities, and on your west line, so
Okay.
there's a lot of stuff going on.
We're still trying to get an exact, location size from Neil on that.
I've tried, trust me.
We have to.
that is all in the old part of town that was built before the town was a town, and no drawings or anything, so it's complicated.
Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah, that's true.
I think the greenery would look nicer.
Okay.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I like that idea.
I think
too.
so. This is B3, right?
Yes.
It's B3. So what are the hours of operation gonna be? Because I think B3 can be open
8 AM to 5:30, Monday through Friday.
8 to 5:30. 8 to 5:30, Monday through Saturday.
Through Friday, Saturday 8 to 1.
Okay, and you're not open on Sunday?
Nope.
Okay. Make sure that's, on paper somewhere. Don, you have any other thoughts on this that, some of us are missing?
I thought B3 maintained the 40,000 square foot lot minimum from the old.
I don't remember.
It's odd for this area to be B3, right?
Everything else is
Somehow,
B1.
this should almost be a B2 special use, since a car repair, I think it's a great, but it probably is on B3, because I remember a laundromat about 10 years ago wanting to buy it and tear down the animal clinic that was there. But the zoning is what it is.
Well, if this is a.
Usually, though.
If those details that we prefer,
Yeah,
we don't care for some B3 locations,
right,
if that criteria was on paper, I think we're good then.
right. I think so.
Mr. Slattis, anything?
I also agree, I think the vegetation would look a little better. We're checking right now to see the new,
The old ordinance is minimum lot area of not less than 20,000 square feet, and a lot width of not less than 100 feet at the building line. Versus the new one is only 40,000 in the new ordinance.
What were the setbacks in the old one?
The setback for the old one, are you looking for,
Side and rear,
okay, so side, let's see,
that abuts residential though.
that's residential. having a width is not less than 15 feet.
15 yards.
And then there's screening requirements, rear yard is 30 feet from the rear line.
So those didn't change.
Okay, so.
What's the new setbacks, or is that?
Same.
that was
Same.
the-
Same.
Oh, okay.
Is it the same? Okay.
No, that's what I was looking at.
So when would we, at what time would we submit, or when do we ask for the variances for that? Because obviously with the small lot and this, everything's existing, around us, that we'll need the west side and the back side to get a variance from the setbacks in order to get the site to work.
And parking, if you
All
want to keep that.
approvals will be contingent upon the other approvals, so
Yeah.
file them away, file away on them.
Okay,
I mean, you might as well file for the front parking spot, you gotta file for the other one.
sure, okay,
That's one more variance definitely.
all right.
So, how many variances? One parking space is what we're talking about? And
One's
what else?
over the, yeah,
And
one.
and the north side and the
Right
west
there.
side?
And west side,
Rear.
yeah. Three.
Three.
Yes.
Parking lot, the north side and the west side. Okay, are these, the survey is pretty accurate with what the GIS has, is that,
Yeah, we've been out there and surveyed.
been out there,
everything.
you're good?
I'm good with
Okay.
it, yeah, we've already done a boundary survey on it, and we've located everything, the drive's where it is, exactly, everything there, the sidewalk's where it is.
Okay.
Right away, they're dedicated.
Yeah, the right of way's already been
That's
dedicated.
the 40 foot on the GIS we see?
Yeah, and there's documentation that, we've got,
Okay.
record document that shows the dedication of 40 feet.
Okay. All right,
Do you know if that brick color that's on the facade is the same as what the school has next to it?
Are you talking about like the brick color we're planning on going with?
Yeah.
I am not sure, but I actually brought a sample of the brick color. This is on a building we did in Crown Point, but, so that's the sample of the brick.
It's pretty close, I would guess.
so this is going to be an auto repair?
Yes,
Okay, are you, do you have a place to, I mean, you're gonna do tires, you gonna have a place to keep tires outside where nobody can see them, and, I mean, how are you handling that kind of stuff?
we'll keep the tires inside.
Okay, all right.
We
You're not
keep the
doing
tires
any body
inside.
work, no body work, no
Nope.
painting, none of that stuff, okay.
We keep the tires inside, we also have the used oil tanks, all that kept inside also.
Didn't you start in Crown Point on the 231? As diesel, MTI?
No,
Majera or something?
No, started
Yeah.
first one's in South Haven,
Okay,
Highway 6.
okay.
Actually, 20 years ago. This year.
Wow.
So don't we want the business plan? I think
Yeah.
we started the discussion with
Yeah, we
that.
need I was gonna ask, does anybody have any questions about what we see here on paper at this point? No? Okay.
No.
All right. So ultimately, the business plan is, like Mr. Roshan said, is kind of what we're after. So we don't have any confusion later.
Probably would have a zoning commitment here, given the type of use that it is, to assure that the business plan is more enforceable.
Okay. This is, you're not working on semis here, you're working on just cars and trucks?
Right.
Yeah, okay,
Cars and light trucks.
all right. And how many vehicles, I mean, the customer's cars may sit outside all night, but, I mean, it is what it is, right?
Right, not very often, the building's big enough, most of the time Crown Point, Winfield, there might be 3 to 4 layovers, and we bring that at night.
Okay,
And we don't put anything outside with hoods off, engines out, parts hanging, anything like that. We try to keep it with nice.
I appreciate you answering the question before I asked.
Yeah, no, Winfield was very strict, and, so, I mean, he knows he's gotta keep the outside clean.
Yeah, we keep it a clean shop.
Okay. All right, other than those other details, I'm thinking everybody's feeling okay about this.
Yeah, I'm good.
Anything from the planning department?
No, so they filed an application already for preliminary subdivision, approval. And so just issue on timing, do you guys want to see that with the variances? I mean, do you want that to run concurrently, or are you okay letting them go through subdivision without securing those variances?
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
Do you want to hold off on that
Yeah.
preliminary?
Well, we need some more information for the preliminary.
They would have to apply for the variance.
They won't-
Did they already submit a form for BZA?
So they submitted for preliminary plat approval,
Right.
but the variances have not been applied for.
No.
So variances should should come first.
So when do we
Or at
need
least get filed.
to come
Yeah, at
in,
least
see
get
your
filed.
office this week and apply for the variances then?
Yeah, so, like, unless
Because it'll be crossed.
they were
Yeah.
deadlines, filing deadlines for May have passed. So we could be looking at June BZA meetings. So we do have a little while to file, because we just had a filing deadline.
Probably, 3 days ago?
April 1st.
April 1st.
Yesterday.
At noon.
At noon, yeah. You sure you don't want to check your Dropbox? I think they're there.
You guys too, huh?
Of course, yeah.
That was good.
You know, why would you put something important in a Dropbox?
I must be.
Because these,
Doug was paying attention earlier.
if we're going in front of the BZA, they have to be advertised.
Get the Dropbox.
And so does the primary plat, which has not been advertised yet, so.
So what would you recommend then, we will be on the,
So if you bring in your variance applications, anytime before, I'm gonna say like May, early May is the filing deadline for June. So bring it in before then, you'd be on the June BZA meeting.
and there's no way to get on the May BZA.
I mean, I'm
They filed
an
them. I don't know.
adamant supporter
David.
of filing deadlines, but,
Is there any way to move this?
She's in charge of this.
yeah, I
So
mean,
there is,
I think filing deadlines maintain order,
okay,
but if,
That's right.
just
that's
asking, because
something-
I knew with the fiasco of the last project. Okay.
So that wasn't a fiasco. Even if we would have gotten it all Friday at noon, we still have to be making good decisions. But
Okay.
it's still challenging.
And there was a lot of caveats with that from the first meeting.
Sure. Understood.
A lot of.
If I don't ask the questions, I'll leave here and go,
Why didn't I
what
ask?
did we, yeah, why didn't I ask this?
Doug, this is much
Right.
simpler, however, the deadlines are deadlines, as Christina said. So-
Absolutely, you have to maintain deadlines and you can't.
And there are no special public meetings for BZA agenda items.
Yeah, if we're allowed to slide, the next person wants to slide a couple of days, and then you have chaos.
Or they just get slippery. So,
Okay, very good.
okay, yeah, just be in touch with Christina, and she'll get this dialed in,
Okay,
and
thank you.
and give you best case scenario dates.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, gentlemen.
Have a good one.
Okay. Item 7, Wicker Enterprises LLC concept plan.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Don't pay attention, Charlie.
Sorry. He's hard to wrangle.
That's all right. You ready for me now?
Yes, Wicker Enterprises LLC concept plan, Chicago Trust Company, Dyer, Indiana. Petitioner, Wicker Enterprises LLC, P.O. Box 111, Cedar Lake. The vicinity is 13495 Wicker Avenue, Cedar Lake, 46303. Petitioner is requesting a concept plan. Good evening.
Good evening. Jennifer Irons Justice and Jamie Glenn here for Wicker Enterprise. And just a correction, that P.O. Box 111 is actually St. John, not Cedar Lake. That was my mistake. I think I put it on the application as Cedar Lake.
Well, I've been known to read it wrong.
P.O. 111 goes to who? It goes to the line, so it'll get to us. No worries. They bring us mail there from there sometimes, so it happens. We have been in our current office for about 8 years, and we have severely outgrown it, so we are looking to build a new law office. We have no car riders, no bus lanes, so hopefully much easier to construct.
No car parts, no tires.
Yeah, no car parts or tires either.
No drive-throughs?
Yeah, no drive-throughs. We
Just
did.
lawyers, huh?
Yeah, just some lawyers.
Although in your industry, you hold on. How many lawyers?
Just the two of us. And like I said, we've been here for 8 years, so we're harmless. We are harmless, right? Yeah, see? We did submit a drawing, although not nearly as fancy as some of them that we have seen, but hopefully it has everything you need to get the idea. We also did already file for our variance, and we should be, I believe, Christina, on the agenda for May.
Yes.
Yes.
You just have to advertise.
Okay, but that has been done, and we should be set for that. Very minor variance for the parking. I think we're over a setback by 10 feet on one and 5 feet on another. And we've got all our parking laid out for the building, and we are way over the required amount of parking that we need, so we should be good to go there. We've got our entrance coming in on 135th Place, so we don't have to deal with 41. And I do know that Don has had an opportunity to kind of look at this a little bit, and so we've had some preliminary talks, and hopefully everything is set in the right direction.
Is this where you're at now?
No, it's
Like 5 houses down.
so it's on the corner.
Okay, got it, got it.
So okay, I got it. You good? I got it.
See where it is? It's that empty corner lot that's been empty
Well-
forever.
Yeah, with the for sale sign in it.
Yes,
Okay, so that looked very small to me when I drove past it. So
It does.
all those trees have to come down?
absolutely.
What's the measurement on that lot?
This is 160 by 150.
Okay.
And we've looked at it multiple times, and we did the same thing you did. When you drive by and you look at it, it's a,
Goes to the baseball field.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
when you drive by and look at it, it's a little deceptive because of all those trees that are on there. My husband actually took a drone over too, so that we can kind of look at it and see. And when you look at the dimensions and you see the whole lot without the trees obscuring the view, it actually works, which is why we kind of went back to it. And that's why we spent so much time really carefully drawing out each setback and the size of the lot and everything, or the size of the building and the parking to make sure that it would fit. I did have some discussions with Jill about this lot because I know that someone had looked at it before and they wanted, I think, a building that was closer to 41, which if that's what you need on this lot, it probably wouldn't work. But because of what we're looking to do and because we don't have, we don't have a drive-through, we don't have a fast food restaurant with a lot of cars coming in and out or something like that. We've got minimal traffic, so I think that we can set our building back on the corner of the lot, and that's what will make it work for us.
And it pulls all the traffic off of 41, because you're entering on the...
We're entering on 135th? Right.
I like it.
So one of the variances is the 41, 135th.
No, the only two variances we should need is if you look on the setback for the parking,
Because there's already the right-of-way. That's already in there.
yeah. So we've got the parking that comes over just slightly on one setback, and then it doesn't actually come over on the setback for the rear line, but because of the amount of parking turnaround space that's required, it actually encroaches like about 5 feet for that required turnaround space.
Is this property B1?
I believe it is.
B2.
B2.
Somebody asked me if you were on the agenda tonight, and I never recognized you with that name.
So your front yard setback off of 41 is most likely more than 30 feet. I think it's 50.
Yeah, I think because there's,
Because it's a federal aid route.
Yeah.
the longer right of way, which, I mean, I think you're in your setback anyway, that doesn't really matter, but that'd be another variance.
Well, that's a problem.
No, we have the 60-foot setback marked there, off of 41.
What? Yeah, you're right.
And we're only we're like what is that, that's where we're 5 feet over within that 60 feet.
Yeah, but you have the right of way noted as 30 feet, the right of way is 65 feet, and then your setback's an additional 50 off the right of way.
I don't know, I'm not following you when you say the right of way is 50 feet.
The right of way on 41 right there is shown on JS as 65 feet. It's a super wide right of way through there for some reason. And then your setback comes from that, which it's just a really wide right of way.
You may just need another variance.
Yeah, we
It's just another
Okay.
thing. As long as your building's not in it, which doesn't appear to be.
As long as
Yeah,
the
we're
building
nowhere
doesn't
close.
block, as long as the
I'm just
building
saying
doesn't
that
block line of
happens.
sight from a safety standpoint,
It's not a problem.
as the stop sign,
Right.
knowing that someday the road could be widened, if you will. then that's
Yeah,
fine.
and the building is all the way back in the corner of the lot, so it's nowhere close to any of those setbacks.
I don't think it's an issue. I just
Okay.
kind of pointed it out.
There is highway improvement coming there.
Yeah.
And that is something we did discuss with Jill, and there is already a right-of-way there, so she did not anticipate that we would have an issue with that because the right-of-way is already, or the, turn lane, I'm sorry. The turn lane is already right there at 41, so we should be good, even if it does come, which she didn't think it was coming that far, but if it does, we should be okay.
The right-of-way boundary is 28 feet off the existing edge of pavement. So
They had discussed
they got
going to 133rd with the turn lane, but they said they might go to 135th.
But like I said, the turn lane is already there anyway, so we should be okay no matter
Yeah,
what.
you don't have an entrance off of 41.
Correct.
Should be fine. Should be fine.
So the BZA items have already been, the variances have already been advertised for BZA?
No, that's why we deferred the April meeting, or canceled the April meeting, but they only apply for the parking variance, correct? Not the setback off of 41.
Okay,
Well, that would be a parking variance too.
road, okay. So, minute,
They do
here's,
kind of the same thing, just there's one off each road.
right, here's lawyer talk, sorry. The ordinance says the setback is off 41, right? Well, technically, there's that right-of-way, so
It's
that
off the right of way.
is off, does it say off the right-of-way, or does it
better.
say off 41?
I think it says it.
I think it says off the right-of-way. We looked multiple times
Bring it up.
on this
ordinance or
issue. What's that?
Should have been the same.
Old or new?
I think it should be the same on that.
Yeah, it's
It may be.
standard.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed.
Well-
I think it's great.
I mean, either way, we can get the ordinance, it's just,
Yeah.
I want to make sure where that hits exactly and what we
We
need
might
to
find,
do the ordinance.
that might be a new red mark for our new ordinance.
Oh, no,
No, it should be
it's
right
fine.
about.
In the future.
It might come up, it might not.
Okay, this is a concept, and based on what you see, Heather, any big concerns right now?
No, I think thinking of all the things that could try to fit in that spot,
Yeah.
this is pretty darn good as opposed to what could try there.
I have to know, are we gonna see something better than this?
Yes.
Well, that's what happens when you let lawyers draw pictures.
I was gonna recommend.
Well, you're right, lawyers paint pictures, they don't draw pictures.
You have no idea how many hours it took me with colored pencils to draw
And
and
you kept the big
redraw.
one, we got the little one. Okay. I don't think this is a
That's
bad
right.
idea for this place.
Number 3.
We had a dentist office
Oh,
that
okay.
was gonna
Actually,
go in
60
there.
foot.
and
Well,
they
I
ended
think
up-
there's a little too much traffic for that.
Yeah, that ended up backing out.
Building line and highway line.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we-
it's not on the highway line, are we?
Huh?
Yeah.
Are we considered on the highway line because of that setback?
Highway line is effectively your right of way line. street right,
So-
that's why it says highway or street right away.
So how
Your
big,
front yard comes off of that.
Okay.
It says it's a 4-lane state highway, 60 feet.
Okay.
so how many lawyers' offices are gonna be in this building?
Just our firm.
Just your firm?
Yeah, just our firm.
So you could add 3 or 4 more people and have a parking problem?
Oh,
Then-
I know. No.
No, God,
Even
yes.
if we, even if we had 3 or 4 more people, we still have way more parking than we need on this
But if
lot.
they're seeing clients, I'm saying you're increasing.
Yeah, no, we don't, I mean, we only will have a maximum of 2 conference rooms in our building. So we
Okay.
generally have 1 client at a time in our office. The most we probably would ever have is 2. And so if we have, if I have a mediation or something, I might have 3 or 4 people. And that's
Okay.
generally the maximum that we have coming in and out of this kind of office at a time. And they're usually, spaced throughout the
Okay.
day. It's not like we have a lot of people at once.
So you have, how many more parking space, according to your calculations, how many more parking spaces do you have than you need?
You should have that information
Yes, 1 space
somewhere.
per 200 square foot of first floor.
Because I did submit that
I
along.
think I counted 22 parking spots, not.
On the paper it says 25.
Yeah, I didn't count any
Okay.
of that, so probably 20.
So there it is,
13 to
here it is.
14,
Okay,
25
got it.
provided.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And those parking spaces are only going to be used for your business?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking, because we have Amazon delivery trucks around Christmas time to get staged everywhere. And you know where I mean. So I know you can see them from where you guys are at.
No,
Okay.
just our business.
Okay. Don, anything else?
Nope.
No? Okay. I think, does anybody have any questions or concerns?
No.
So just a point of clarification, do we need to redo the variance, or is that because it's a parking into that spot?
Maybe it has to be reworded.
Okay.
I don't know, I'll leave that to
That's
city
fine,
planning
we can
director.
just, we'll
You work
figure that
with
out
it?
before
Yeah.
it goes
Okay.
out in the paper.
Okay. Perfect.
Planning
Thank you.
department will get this dialed in and, it'll be exactly the way it needs to be.
I'm sorry, Jerry. Chris, will you make sure that the code section's cited exactly also? This is, it kind of is the first of some development activity that will happen on South Route 41. We want to
Yeah.
be consistent and uniform with all aspects.
Do we have any issues with a business being off that residential street? Because this discussion was had once upon a time across the street quite recently.
No, and it's because it is commercial that you don't have that problem.
I'm not going
Now,
for a
set,
reason.
or screening and things of that nature, that's a different story, if the business is being approved.
No, I meant an agenda item a couple months ago where everything was changed to B3 across the street on 135th.
Yeah, the Stinger property.
Yes, and there was discussion about 135th
Right.
never being able to be used because it's a residential street, which is exactly what this is. So
Except that there is zoning that, on this parcel and this property for these gals that, is commercial.
The one
You don't
across the
have,
street
you don't
has
have
a
that on the
residential
other
lot.
side.
Hold on. Yeah, but that whole thing, changing it to a B3, part of the agreement was that nothing would be used at that B3. 135th on the west side of 41 would not be used for that business in any way, shape, or form. Now we're at 135th, a stone throw away, and we're using 135th.
We didn't change, the zoning didn't change for that house on that corner.
Are you just talking about access? You're just talking about access off a residential street?
Yeah, there's no snag with that?
Well, how, otherwise you landlock this property from use,
Well, not if you come off 41, you're not.
okay?
And I want to make sure that we
So we
people
want to
don't leave
advocate
here.
our zoning power to the state of Indiana and NDOT to assess that? Probably not.
Well, that's why I'm asking the question. Because again, we just had this discussion across the street.
That road's been there for, as you know, forever begging for this building to come.
Yeah, for the anticipated use. that could actually make this parcel feasible?
I do not disagree with you.
Yeah.
I'm just asking the question.
No, I don't think there's anything in zoning code that would restrict you coming up 135th, just because it's business.
And we have very little traffic. I mean, once we're there for the day, you know, we might run out for coffee, but we don't come in and out very often, and, you know, we have a handful of appointments throughout the day, so we don't have any significant traffic that comes in and out of our lot.
Yeah, we're not like personal injury or criminal, where they have a lot of turnover of clients, it's just not.
There's no parking for the ambulances?
No, we're not that. And as far as 41 goes, I think that if we were to do that, we would have to have a deceleration lane coming from the south.
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah, you have a lot.
Right, and well, that lot
Yeah,
to the south is residential, but you.
There's
And we probably wouldn't be looking at this lot if that were.
Well, no,
And it would
I
continue
understand,
to
but there's
sit.
already a bit of a deceleration lane to turn on to 135th.
Right, yeah.
It just doesn't go beyond 135th.
Pending
You don't want to have
future
jurisdiction for this, you've got control with your zoning, they understand what.
Just asking the question.
and pending what INDOT does with their project in a couple of years, if that meeting extends all the way down to 135th, it may, not, I don't know. You'd rather just keep them at a already existing intersection at that point, because they have right in, right out.
And I can tell you too, just from where we currently sit, getting in and out of our parking lot is sometimes awful.
Only left.
Yeah, true, yes. So, I mean, for us, that was a huge bonus to be able to not have to have people come in and out, off of that road, and especially, Jamie does a lot of estate planning, she has a lot of older clients, and that is sometimes difficult. We worry about that. We actually looked at another parcel that was a little further down and said, you know what, this makes us uncomfortable because we have that clientele pulling in and off of 41 and crossing traffic to get in. Not having to do that is a big bonus here, so.
Yeah, we just, I'm gonna speak for everybody. We think about the next person that owns the building. That's kind of where some of these questions come from, so. Christina, anything? No?
We'll wait to see a more accurate drawing.
So
Please.
I understand it quite well. She's showing 30-foot setback, the 60 or whatever off the front, 55, and
Looking for sidewalks
parking
and
places. I'm
stuff
with
like
you,
that.
I'm with you.
Oh, I have it, don't you see my label
I'm looking
here
at a
that says
sidewalk.
Yeah, that's the thing you're pitching on something,
And-
the rest of
In
the.
case you couldn't figure it out, these green things are bushes.
Hey, did you see the $80 concept that
Yeah.
someone was talking about?
I'm gonna call Heather and be like, what is that thing? How do I heard?
This
You
is-
are.
This is, yeah, this is.
Hey,
this
listen,
is
what I
about
wanna
as good as
tell
we've ever
you
seen
about
here.
that drawing right there, they don't have setbacks, they don't have, look, I got the size of my
It's an
parking
architectural
spaces.
rendering.
I have a scale on here, you can figure everything you need.
Got squares,
I think we need a side
The
bar.
engineer appreciates
Jay,
it.
wait, come pick up the drawing.
I think we need a drafting class. Okay.
So what do we need to do next to make sure we've
I think you need to
done
get with,
everything?
the staff, and they'll start putting some kind of plan together for you, to get back here.
Okay.
And make sure all the variances are accurate.
And that also means we need to submit an application for a site plan and our bigger,
all-
better, fancy drawing.
All the good. A different drawing, yes.
Different drawing.
Yes, not a bigger drawing.
I can give you the bigger one. All right, we will do
I
that.
do appreciate you not putting it on a napkin, though. I do appreciate it. Because we get close sometimes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item 8, Shander, concept plan. Owner Michael and Nancy Shander, 3552 Sally Drive, Stager, Illinois. Petitioner Ryan Gasbaro, P.O. Box 757, Mokina, Illinois. The vicinity is 13177 Colfax Street, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a concept plan. Evening.
Ladies, gentlemen, good evening. I'm Brian Casbero. I'm representing the owner, Michael and Nancy Shander. Tonight we're requesting a concept plan. I just want to start off just to confirm that there was some supplemental package that was sent to Cedar Lake on Friday. Just confirming that you guys have that for review tonight.
It looks like we do.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Do we?
So essentially
It's a picture, and is this what?
that is to show the orientation and the offsets and the setbacks for the proposed structure within Lot 2 of that subdivision.
So, Mr. Oliphant, thank you. You have some notes on this, and there's also a meeting about this.
Probably just talk to Chris first.
Okay, Chris first,
And then I'll jump in.
I guess I'll first refer back to Don's 2017.
No, we're not doing that.
We're not going back
We're not
to
doing it.
Because there was a lot of waivers given for this property. We did have a discussion, well, we had several meetings about this property among staff and professional staff as well. Waivers were given for a significant portion of the subdivision control standards. We want to prevent the north 2 lots, which we understand is going to be considered their backyard, from being developed. I believe that's the idea of the petitioner as well. And we've come to at least a sort of a conclusion that possibly a 1-lot subdivision, combining these would be a good way of doing that. And then possible considerations for the waivers that were given previously would have to be considered. We want to make sure too that, well, in consideration of this property, there's also properties to the west side that still need to maintain access for potential development in the future. There are, you can see it if you're on page, what number is that? I think it's the 3rd one down on your iPad in regards to this particular petition. But there are multiple lots on the west side of this subdivision that need to be considered.
Are you looking at this one?
Yes.
Okay, 118.
118, yeah.
Can we reverse real quick? What are you trying to do here?
For the residents on Lot 2.
Okay, thank you.
Is there already a building on Lot 2?
No, sir. There's Lot 1 has a barn or a garage that abuts Lot 2. And there's also a residence also on Lot 1 that is not owned by Michael and Nancy.
That's the original.
The Dust family owned that.
Sir, how many lots does your,
They own Lot 2, 3, and 4, remember?
2, 3, and 4?
Yes, sir.
So there's a building on 2 already, though?
No, sir.
What is that?
That's the proposed structure on Lot 2.
Now, I'm looking at the
No.
GIS.
Maybe an old accessory structure.
Okay, all right. So from Mr. Dust all the way to the far north end of that road, Lot 2, 3, and 4?
Well, excluding Lot 1, correct, yeah. I think that's still Taylor's property,
Okay.
maybe.
Okay, so you'd like to build a home on Lot 2,
Yes, sir.
and then the 1-lot subdivision is, have you had that explained to you? Is that?
So, from my understanding, we're being asked to combine lots 2, 3, and 1 into 1 lot.
And that's,
Is that the understanding?
That's pretty
2, 3, and 4.
Excuse me, 2, 3, and 4, I'm sorry.
2, 3, and 4 into
2
1 lot.
into
Yeah.
1 lot.
Yeah, yeah. You have to put a ditch in and all that other stuff then too, out front?
I think that's where we get into the hairy part of this.
That's where we get back into the waivers that were granted in the past. They were.
Well, I'm trying to make sure that we don't have a water problem based on those waivers.
Well, some of the infrastructure improvements based on that application, we're based on lots 3 and 4 being built on. Like, part of it was extending the sanitary lateral all the way up to the north end, that would service 3 and 4. Current sanitary, I think, is just on the south portion of lot 2 right now. And then there's obviously waivers for, right-of-way width, roadway width, sidewalk, curb and gutter, I mean, they go on and on. Detention, which is, not a big deal for a lot like this, but, they did receive several,
I think the elevation back there, are probably why stormwater.
Yeah, and that, we were fine with that, we're still fine with that now, that's one of the minor waivers.
Okay.
Jerry, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Am I correct, looking at this February 7th, 2017 letter, originally this was a 4-lot subdivision,
It is currently platted as a 4-lot subdivision.
but you just want to build one home?
One home on lot 2, and there's a separate owner for lot 1.
You're going to combine lots 2, 3, and 4 and build one structure?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, how does this letter apply to any of this then?
There were a lot of waivers given, and the properties changed hands.
I understand, but they are asking for a 4-lot subdivision.
Well, I think as part of the application, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't wish to improve the public infrastructure all the way through lot 3 and 4.
Oh, got it.
That's the reason they're combining.
And if it's combined, we don't need sewers to lot 4.
Through.
Don't need them all the way through, but you do need them at, I would say, at least to the next adjoining property on the west, so that way they can develop their property, similar to roads as well.
The parcels on the west are already platted legal lots of record.
Yeah.
So they don't trigger subdivision ordinance to do those public infrastructure improvements. So if they ever come in, and they can, right now, get a building permit, they would somehow need to, either extend the main up there, get their service line to it somehow, and they would need to improve the road because they wouldn't have an improved right-of-way.
Okay, well, based on what Chris just said, I think probably, we need to get something on paper as far as, where the sewer line would need to go, in your opinion, to accommodate,
I'm sure
west side.
Mr. Shander and Ms. Shander put it, that's probably a deal breaker for them for any kind of extension of any utilities. I mean, some marginally, yes, but I think anything excessive is going to, and again, I'm speaking for the owner.
Well,
it's gonna be a deal breaker.
I don't know what they consider excessive.
Well, we have to see what you're proposing. I don't want to say.
Describe what number you're talking about.
Because from what I understand, where it's existing, their lot is at where it's paved and there's utility for them right now at lot 2. Whether or not proximity to lot 3, I'm not going to sit here and speculate. Close, I mean, if we're talking about a couple feet, 100 feet, I mean, there's different answers for.
Chris, are you talking about lot 21 across the street? I'm confused.
We don't,
Right.
Those are built probably up to 27.
I believe there was a plotted part of where the actual utilities, that where the road was ended.
up to 20, so it would be, it would be to the north end of lot 2, where they want to build a house. Is that what you?
I think that's what he's saying. Is that what you're saying? Like lot 29 across the street to the north end of their house?
I think
Or
it's lot 27 is where the next undeveloped, unimproved lot is.
Yeah, so they would have to take the sewer line
Takes it through
to the north end of their property. That's what's being, of lot 2, yeah.
What is currently lot 2.
Current lot 2.
And the roadway is pretty much, it's not improved, it's essentially to lot 2. Essentially turns into gravel by then. It's exactly where the last sanitary manhole stopped. Terminal manholes.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess, what we're gonna require is something needs to be put on paper, so they can consider what's excessive and what's a deal breaker, et cetera, et cetera.
Well,
Well, this
if you have their ask.
I think their ask is that they just be waived of everything, pretty much all of
Waiver,
their structure.
utility waiver.
Which really wouldn't come until it's re-subdivided, and then we kind of go through the same process we did 5 years ago.
Jerry,
We have to
this
reconsider everything.
is similar to the Morse Street property that was in front of us about 2 or 3 months ago behind this, correct? Where the road stops, the utility stops.
Yes.
Okay.
It was a little different,
Why is that?
because the right-of-way didn't extend into their property. The right-of-way kind of dead-ended. They didn't have access. So he has legal right of access because there's public right-of-way right there.
Well, the access wasn't the issue with that property, because there was,
It was getting an easement.
there were ingress egress agreements done.
They needed to get an ingress egress off of, through one parcel to even get to it right away.
But that was done, the issues there stemmed from the utility and the road, 100%. Same thing.
This one's a little
This one's
more
got a
complicated
few
than
more curveballs because it was already here once upon a time.
and it potentially affects future building permits.
Yeah.
We don't have public waters, right?
No, they would have to have their own well, and I think what the petitioner wants to do is just run where the road stops, run it as a driveway into their, I'm assuming, run it as a driveway into their property, and then take the sewer line right into their house and not extend anything.
So Public Works will still plow the whole stretch of road then, right?
What's there currently stops at Lot 2, is my understanding, or shortly thereafter.
Yeah, it's all gravel and.
Who's improving the road?
The previous developer was supposed to improve the road but did not.
And there's no assurance.
We never did a performance or maintenance bond.
Letter of credit, yeah.
Or LLC, yeah.
Never posted.
Okay.
I thought he only had to improve that road if he was gonna build on those back 2 lots. If he just built on lot 2, the road was sufficient for him to build there because it is a dedicated road. Granted, it's not in good shape.
I mean, letter of the ordinance, you would have to improve his entire public frontage. Whether or not he only built on the front part of the re-subdivided lot or lot 2 only.
So regardless, if he made that a 1-lot subdivision,
You would still have waivers to consider.
he would be required to run the road to the north to the end of lot 4.
By the letter of the ordinance, yes, unless you granted him relief. Which is a policy call.
Well, considering the waivers for the road and stormwater and curb and gutter and the whole thing, I certainly, if this ends up happening, I certainly think that we need to make sure the water on his property is not going south, but it's going east.
Yeah, I mean, currently I think there's 2 play easements on the north and south side of lot 2. Because I think without the curb and gutter, they were required to at least do some type of either swaling along the right of way, and then get it out and into them, like, obviously those side yard swales are a little less required because it's only gonna be 1 lot.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is if they, I don't think, it's a policy call, I think, by this board. If the utilities are there and they tap into them there and they have the pitch and it works, great. By having a $300,000 to $600,000 home that they're probably building, it could possibly spur folks to want, maybe a developer, somebody to buy the rest of those lots and flip them and bring the sewer. We're just talking about an individual resident, so I don't think we should treat that person the same as a developer building 3, 4, 5 lots, because quite honestly, if those are on 25-foot lots, based on some of these crazy PUD lots that we've given in the last decade, that you can cram a ton of houses right there. Not that we want that. It's a nice area, it's overlooking Levin Lake, it's beautiful. I don't have heartburn with what they're asking for. I sort of could see meeting us halfway and extending it, but as long as we get the right of way, that if somebody bought all those lots across the street, wanted to put in proper roads to the end, you know.
Don, would this be a 6-inch plastic
okay.
sewer line that would run to the north end of their lot?
If it's a main, it's 8-inch.
Okay.
How are lots 27 through 35 owned now? Not in 25-foot frontage, I assume, correct?
No, 27 to 31 is one, 32 to 35 is one, then 36, 37, 38, and 39 are individuals.
So 100 for the first two, 125, 100.
125, 100, and then 425, 427.
I'm not trying to interject on that, but I drew, there was some correspondence or some documentation about the buildability of the soil across on those lots. I know some are, some aren't. I'm not sure to speak specifically about how many are actually can build. I know there's some are swamp that cannot, and I just don't recall which.
Well, there's plenty of elevation there to make
it
less swampish.
Right.
I mean, it's up on a hill, so yeah, I mean, what they want to do here seems quite feasible. It'll be a 1-lot subdivision. Is that what everybody's comfortable with? Don?
1 lot out of 3.
1 lot out of 3.
And you go from 3 lots to 1, that's the intent. And I think there should be some caveat with that they are no longer subdivided again.
Yeah. Well, that would have to run with the land.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys would just write it in some kind of like a covenant with the deal that it won't be subject, like, how is that?
It would have to be a legal document.
Right.
It would run with the deed, yeah.
You put on a plot then.
And,
No further subdivision.
yeah. Okay, Chris, anything else? I guess while they were building this, if the town was so inclined to throw the pipe from the structure in to the end of their property to alleviate that little problem across the street, maybe that's the time to do it. Because there'd have to be an easement all the way across the front of their yard, right, for sewer line?
I believe there currently already is,
Yeah, we've got a right-of-way. The right-of-way dedicated, there are drainage easements down the center lines of the lots.
And that would be a utility board question.
Okay, right.
But we'll plat them at this stage, so.
Okay.
I mean, we'll obviously look at the engineering again, if and when they come in for a plat, to see if the easements need to be moved based on existing topography. Because they were kind of placed already based on proposed additions, which are no longer gonna be there, so kind of gotta take a step back.
Yeah. So, you understand that we're kind of starting fresh here, kind of?
Yes, sir.
So, like Don said, we have to get started again and take a step back and look over the stormwater and all the other.
No, we appreciate your consideration.
I know this was a surprise to the people you represent, but we're trying to get it.
And we appreciate that.
Trying to get it done.
For the record, though, before he goes down the path of that, I think it should be pretty clear on what we're willing to give up.
Well, I guess.
Or require.
I guess a compiling of those items.
Because if an extension of a sewer after you go through 1-lot subdivision is a deal breaker, I would feel bad if you went through that and then get denied.
Yeah. Well, can you put together the list of things that may or may not be, the things that we'd have to waive?
Don did it in
Doing a lot of
2017.
them. I mean, it's roadway improvement and sewer extensions and potential.
Well, an 8-inch pipe with a structure, well, we don't know where the easements are, so.
Well, I mean, that's right down the center line of the road. It would just be extended north.
Curb gutter lighting.
Curb gutter, yeah, it's all your road improvements. I can make a list if you want me to.
Yeah. I just, I'd like you to step back and kind of look and everything, especially the topography, because I'm more worried about stormwater and things that have to be modified,
Yeah.
because that could be a deal breaker for us.
Well, and with a one lot, with a one single structure,
Yeah.
I mean, that's something drainage wise that I hope we could accomplish at building department level if we got to that stage. It's a little different when there's only one house. An engineering plan for one house is not really, we don't need it right now. So if we have a good idea where we're gonna have issues, I'm not concerned about that. It's just a matter of, well, it's essentially a policy call. It's what you're willing to waive versus what's required. You know, do you want to see the sanitary remain extended to the north part of lot 1? Do you want us to go further? Do you want us to go shorter? Are you okay with that? Do you want the road extended a certain portion? I mean, there's a lot of variables.
Okay, does anyone up here have any other thoughts on this?
Can you take and just leave lot 2 alone, as is, make 3 and 4 a one-lot subdivision with something on the plans or a legal document stating that if those lots are ever sold, or that one-lot subdivision, then 3 and 4 is sold, then the new owner has to put in sewer and road for those 2 lots, and they would just be responsible for our ordinance is just covering the road and the sewer to the end, to the north of lot 2.
We can go that route.
But Doc, even if.
Because they stated before is what they wanted to do was keep 3 and 4 for their view because it was a pretty view, and I agree, I've been back in there. And, you know, so to keep their costs down and make this doable for them, just make 3 and 4 a one-lot subdivision with some legalities in there that if it's ever developed beyond the state, they have the sewer lines and the road have to be improved or added.
You know, I guess I'm confused because for those of you who may or may not know, if you go, you know, by the three-way stop over by Hilltop, where we're gonna redo, what is it, 127th, Bob?
127th Avenue?
Right, so that road, officially, it's an unimproved road to the east, kind of up the hill, but it stops early, and people own those lots, okay? So what's the difference between that and this? If they own these three lots.
It goes to the last house on the left-hand side of the road.
Right.
And then you've got, property to,
unimproved to the east.
Right.
But my point is, what's the difference between that and this? If these folks own lot 2, they wanna build a house on lot 2, and they happen to own lot 3 and 4, why do we care what they do with 3 and 4 right now?
They said they wanted to make it their yard.
They wanna make it one lot, but maybe they should've just came to us and said, I own this lot too, and I wanna build a house on it. And don't even bring up lot 3 and 4, either they own it or not.
I think there's been a lot of variance of proposal, I think that have been proposed, I think we've kind of maybe
Settled on
what's happening, we're willing to work with Tom.
We definitely.
I see the path forward, and I can.
Yeah, this one lot subdivision is the path forward.
Yeah, I agree. One lot subdivision is the path forward. I guess these other things, probably should be, summarized in an email.
So you're saying they should incorporate 2, 3, and 4 in a one-lot subdivision?
Yes.
Yeah.
And never redivide again, or with whatever language.
It would run with the land. You were saying that they built
Kristen,
on
welcome to
3.
Cedar Lake Planning.
No, they build on 2. That's where they want to build.
Okay.
Or just like Don said, come in and say, I want a permit to build on 2, what do I need to do? You need a variance for this, or a variance for that, or you need to do this, and who cares about 3 and 4?
It's all gonna be
If
one.
they sell it and somebody wants to build on it, then they would be up here where Chicago Cubs is standing now, trying to convince us.
I think also, once this starts moving, they may decide they want to be on part of lot 3. Who knows?
But that all has to be vetted during the planning process. That's where your public
Yeah, I'm
improvements
saying
are
the one lot subdivision.
I know, but that all kind of has to be part of the record and the approvals, because, again, we would need a surety for whatever we require them to do public improvement wise, and if we're not gonna include 3 and 4 in that, those costs, then that all has to be kind of part of the approval process then. You can't push that off to a future 3 and 4 building permit or something like that.
Okay, well, I think, like John said, one lot subdivision is the path forward. But I think a total summary of all the information is probably a good idea.
Review your meeting minutes. Got the previous letters.
So again, just to reiterate, we're looking for the path of least resistance. Anything that can avoid any kind of roads or utilities is the ideal. My notes I have here are to waive all utilities and road improvements. From what I understand, since I wrote that down, we're going to compile a list of what needs to be physically waived, and then we can actually...
I think this was 2017, and I think perhaps, like Heather said, I think perhaps I'd like to look it all over in detail.
Okay. So I'm just looking at, like, what do you need from me on a deadline, and, like, any specifics we could talk today, what you need by what time, or from me, or is this just a phone call tomorrow and getting a list? Or
pretty easy list put together. I mean, essentially all road improvements, all utilities.
I don't want to make assumptions, so
I mean, I'm assuming you're asking for everything. So it'd be all public utility improvements. It'd be all roadways.
Anything to avoid roads,
sidewalks,
utilities, yes.
lighting, underground utilities, sanitary.
You're shooting some sharp arrows at me.
I'm just saying, that is what we're asking, the applicant is asking for.
And then I got some other things here too, if you give me a couple more minutes.
Sure.
One lot subdivision, we already articulated that, never to redivide again. Utility board questions, there was going to be a follow-up on that. They might be adding some things on that as well. Did you mention that as well?
No, I
You could make a petition to the utility board, pretty well leveraged.
I had mentioned the
projects.
I had mentioned the town, if there was gonna be a problem to run that sewer line to the north end of your property. This is a work session, so I'm kind of throwing that out there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm very clear on
I mean,
what I need
the cost of that is minimal, and if there was public water there, the water would have to run to the same spot.
Okay.
I don't know.
Also, keep in mind, he gets rid of all of his former variances, so he's going to need new variances for the new one lot stub.
That's my
for the
exact
rear
point.
and the front.
So new easements after the new plat, after it's out into one lot again, we're gonna have to reevaluate the easements again.
Be variances, yeah,
Right, the variances for that, okay.
I think the variance is the first time based on where those are, won't be a surprise. Will they, John?
So essentially, who and when can I talk to about like a list, like a to-do list? I know you guys need time to digest it, like all that,
Why
too, but I'm just...
don't you track down the building department, Chris or Christina, next week, and we can
And I can
have something.
I can contact you, Christina, directly on Monday, is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Afternoon, morning?
Either.
Okay. Anything else for me, or anything else that I didn't cover?
No.
Your lights on, flashlights on.
Oh,
I'm just trying to get this in totality.
Yeah.
Because there's so much legacy here that needs to be addressed.
Done.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate your time tonight, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. I believe that was the last, sorry. Item 9 on the agenda are building regulations and fee amendments.
You want this for,
Who has that information?
I'm working on this, and I need to get...
Put it on the wall.
Okay. All right. Are these just,
We've been a little busy. Just a little.
Yeah. Takes a while to fill file cabinets.
I started crafting.
These are just, are these small items? Is this a big list or a small list, or what are we,
No, it isn't too bad, but,
Okay.
please let me get with the staff.
Yeah.
And bring me something.
Okay, this isn't something that's
In
gonna be
there-
ready in 2 weeks, is it?
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, then let's leave that on as an update item. We've discussed the sidewalk and the fee in lieu of many times. Chris provided us a form that seemed pretty straightforward. Do we want to pursue this item, or do we want to just close the file on it? Anyone? Bob?
Close the file.
We gotta close the file,
I disagree.
okay?
I'm not letting this one die. I fought too long for it.
Okay. This is a work session, so I was just hoping we could, throw out some thoughts and ideas.
Dave, did you say that there's a concern that we could face litigation over something like this?
I'd certainly look at it if I was representing a developer here and didn't get sidewalks but had to pay for them. Just saying.
It is a voluntary thing, and I think we had squeezed it down to the legacy properties, I think is what we had discussed.
Or illogical sidewalks.
Yeah. I think that's on your petition, right? The petition, that form you had, that application for that. I think it mentions the lack of safety in putting a sidewalk in certain places. What are your thoughts, Don? What are your thoughts?
Uh-oh.
I don't agree from a planning perspective to put a sidewalk in a corridor where there never will be a connector to it.
I agree.
Whether or not there's a legal way to recoup where we can't put stuff, I don't know.
What are you recouping?
Huh?
What are you recouping?
Recouping the required public infrastructure that we don't.
So you have a constructive take. You can call it real, you can call it pretend, you can call it what you want, but constructively, it's a take.
Yeah, it's a take.
And I'm gonna file under Title 36.
But is it a take if it's
Inverse
voluntary?
condemnation claim. I'm gonna tell Jack Halsey he needs to advise his clients to do that, and all of a sudden, you're going down a path where
We take $2,000 for a sidewalk and we get sued for 10 times that.
Really, how much are we gonna see this? I know, Heather, you're passionate about this, and I get it. But this is for our this is in our ordinance prospectively, right? Looking ahead, looking forward. Are we gonna have that many parcels that are not gonna be sidewalk connectable in the areas being developed or developing in our community? Probably, or not much. Not much.
Yeah, I guess this came to light because there was some time, 18 months, 24 months ago, where everybody at the podium had sidewalk variance. I'm sorry, waiver.
I mean, I can get you this, what, last 5 years, how many one-lot subs that we've waived?
Well,
That we've waived in the last 5 years alone.
You're getting ready
More
to
than
do,
you think.
you're getting ready to do one now from the petitioner just in front of you.
I think there's gonna be a lot coming up.
That adds up when we do have sidewalk corridors that we can connect, that we do need the money to connect.
We can't even get our own kids to school via sidewalk, and they live
Well, here's what
500
I'm
feet away.
thinking. Maybe what we do, guys, is we put a limit. If a subdivision's less than X lots, you do not need to worry about it, and we can have the right to waive it. If it's, and/or certain size lots, some private cul-de-sac estate lots are going to be just that. There's gonna be 10 or 12 homes. They're gonna be an acre or two lots. And I'm thinking right now of, south of South Shore, that 10 acres that was for sale. If somebody would have put 6 or 8 nice houses there that had a hell of a view, and for us to need sidewalks there when the county park was to the west, and at the time, the golf course was to the north, and the county park was to the south, it would have made no logical sense to make those people have to have sidewalks if they only put 5 or 8 homes. So do we make the limit anything you know,
Well,
greater than X or less than X, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, and then I'm thinking about the sidewalk that will be running along the west side of Morse someday.
Someday.
Because the
Soon, possibly.
because the elevation will accommodate such, not like across the street where we wave.
I think it all comes back to planning too. I mean, you know what your long-term plan is, you know where you're gonna grow potentially, you know where there's, you know, certain areas that may, you know, get large subdivisions like South Shore now.
Yeah.
We know we're going to have sidewalk along Morse, you know, the next several years, we know where that's gonna connect to. But if you have a lot, like we did a one lot sub on the Vermillion curve, there's no way ever that there will be sidewalk on that curve for various reasons.
Right.
You know, safety, grade, you name it, it's never going to be there. You would never force somebody to put that there.
So you're, right, so you're saying that we should have collected, we could have collected monies from them.
Stop saying that.
Well, you can't just,
No,
you can't just throw this out there and punt.
The way Lowell's is, it's a voluntary.
Yeah, I read the form, it seems pretty straightforward. Legal, on the other hand, is in total disagreement, and, I think we have to consider that.
Yeah.
Mr. Roshan's
Well,
telling us that the liability.
The gentleman in the Cubs jersey.
Yes.
Wanting to have those folks build the house in Colfax.
Yes.
One of his variances will probably be waive of a sidewalk.
Sure. It's on there.
Okay?
Yep.
So, in that case, if we had the volunteer deal, and it wasn't, if this is something legal that's gonna get chose, we should quit talking about it. If it's something that isn't, then in that case, that guy's so close to the town center, but I don't think he can get out on 133rd and walk on a sidewalk today. But wouldn't that be cool to go into a fund that then interconnects?
But there will be a
That area.
sidewalk on the south side of 133rd someday.
Yeah, someday. So that's all, I mean, that's where this all starts.
Once the bridge is built.
But if our legal's saying it's not advisable, then maybe we just whack it, and this board decides when, if and when we need sidewalks.
Well, you know,
Using logic.
everything's about, you know, probabilities.
Right.
If Don gives us a number that's $5 million, maybe it's worth rolling the dice.
Chris, you were on Lowell Town Council when that thing went through. What were the discussions there?
Largely that's, mostly what happened here is we had areas in town that, needed sidewalk connections. We had a couple areas that were developing, where sidewalks didn't make sense because sidewalk hadn't been extended by a previous developer. So to meet the existing development, proposed sidewalk waiver was given as an option to them, to do instead of putting in the sidewalks, and that's how we've collected the funds there.
How many boomerangs did you get from that?
We haven't been sued yet about, in regards to it yet, but Jack Halls may go to the planning commission in Lowell next month and open up a can of worms on it.
He was texting
No, I
somebody.
wouldn't, I would be, actually, having done projects in Lowell, would see the value in doing it. You know, hadn't considered the legal ramifications, but, you know, I think there are places where it warrants it and it can be beneficial, but again, you guys have to determine, you know, what's best for your community to do that, so.
Trek Hendricks did even say how much they've used it, but you said they haven't used it that much.
They use it on their rural ones.
Huh?
They've used it on their rural subdivisions.
Yeah, we've used it on the rural subdivisions, largely in the northwest corner of the town.
Where it makes super sense. Rural subdivisions have big yards, and no one's ever gonna walk down that street.
I hate to say, do we need another colored map that shows areas that would receive and wouldn't?
But then don't we have discrimination if those
Well,
people
based on topography
portion?
or
Our
connection points.
discussions there also centered around the fact that that was an option of last resort in all cases. because the preference was to always, and Lowell is significantly flatter than Cedar Lake, so we had the ability to put sidewalks generally everywhere. We had no Vermillion where that had a steep curve. We generally required sidewalks. It was in those rural areas. We did not designate what was rural. It was just as individual projects came forward and it was the option of last resort, it was something that you could turn to.
Well, we have a new planning director who's joined us 7 days ago, so why don't we maybe table this for a year and let her get an understanding of the lay of the land in
Are
our
you kidding me
community?
right now?
No, and then,
I wanna bury it before I
Uh-huh.
let it go another year. Like, we either need to move or
well, then let's just
let
kill
bury
it. Let's kill it, and then if we wanna resurrect it someday, we can.
Oh, good lord.
I'd like to hear the number from Don.
If there's a legality issue, why open up our citizens?
Well, then why have we talked about it for 2 years?
It's a potential, because none of us.
Hanover Junior High is when it started, I think.
Oh, no. It
Was
was
it?
it was in October
Been about a
of,
year and a half.
it'll be, exactly, 2
Is it?
years in October.
Oh, I thought it was Hanover Junior High, when we said,
No,
please put
way
the
before
sidewalk
that.
money over here for Hanover High School.
Way before that.
No, that was it. We moved the sidewalk.
Literally.
We literally, yeah. You literally moved the sidewalk. Okay, well, we're gonna take this off the agenda, I think. Heather?
I don't have anything nice to say, so I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
This is a work session. We can.
No, I'm good.
Okay, I hate to say we can't vote on anything, but, who, thinks we need to be done with this for now?
Well, I think that the whole, problem here is, or the whole reason for wanting this is money.
Yeah.
So cut all the BS, money, you're trying to cut a fat hog in the butt, you know, by getting
Well, it takes money to
sidewalks.
interconnect
But,
areas.
you know, it's all about money. I say table it, what the heck, how many sidewalks are we gonna get, how much money are we gonna get? You said you had $90,000. The Lowell collected $90,000.
That's how much the town of Lowell had collected at the time of.
Yeah,
the
how many years was that?
3, 4?
So they were doing $30,000 a year? It's a lot of sidewalks.
Not every year. It usually comes in when a subdivision's coming in, it's probably one or two projects.
And the thing we're looking at here is what we talked about, if we're gonna do this, it's an old Cedar Lake, legacy lots.
Yeah.
No new subdivisions, don't even have the options. They got a big DC 430 out there that they can smooth it out, put a sidewalk in. And so it's gonna be done, it's in the legacy lots.
Silver Meadows is gonna ask for what?
And that's it.
Sidewalk waiver?
Otherwise, forget it.
We are going to continue to see,
Exterior sidewalk.
this is the last time I'm talking about it. We are
No,
going to
no, it's not.
You're right, it's not. We are going to continue to see people purchasing homes for $200,000, plowing them down, and rebuilding them. That is the direction that our town is going. So this isn't a small issue that we only have a couple of lots left. This is going to be a recurring issue over the next umpteen years. Number two, the fact that we cannot get any of our children to walk to school is absurd to me. So if we can utilize some funds to gear towards that direction, to get our kids to school safely, so they're not walking down the street, I think that that's an option that should not be tabled, especially for a year.
I think,
Now I'm done.
I think, John, what you and I had talked about was Old Cedar Lake, the legacy lots.
Well, I was-
John Moore just said.
Yeah, but I'm almost thinking town centers. We have a lake in the center of our community, thus we have no downtown. But so we're trying to have interconnectivity between where we're sitting to, let's say, all the way to the roundabout.
Yeah.
Then from the roundabout all the way to the fire station. Now, what a great thing. You can now walk from, the sandbar all the way to Cedar Lake Kitchen on a sidewalk, but more importantly, it's public safety. Heather, you're correct. And so there's other means to get there, but Robin's Nest, Lakeside, you cannot walk to the new condos. You cannot walk to True Value and the liquor store and Loops.
What
right?
is the other means?
Fragmented.
I'll get passionate about that and I'll leave the damn sidewalk thing alone then.
Yeah.
How else do we do it?
Grants, 80-20 matches, like what we're trying to do now.
from
Through the
the
state.
roundabout to
The federal grants from the roundabout to
town
the town
hall,
hall, for
we're
example.
working on an 80.
It's challenging, then you gotta buy all the land, time consuming, but it's a way. So.
I'm
That's
just,
just-
I'm just worried about if we give a lieu and they give us money, and as Dave said, we may get sued, and it may be for more money than we receive.
It's just like, I'll use Jeremy Kuiper's lot. 2 years ago, he got a variance. But he didn't get a variance for waving a sidewalk. I think he's gonna have to someday put a sidewalk in. On each end of his sidewalk, it's gonna go to nowhere. Because on the north side of 141st, there is now a sidewalk all the way there. So.
No, it's not all the way.
Well, it will be, almost.
And the beginning.
So in that case, that sidewalk on the other side of the street probably will be alone all the time.
Yeah, but who said we only need a sidewalk on one side of the road?
I'm just saying, there's a means for safe pedestrian travel
That'd be
when
better
it's
than
on
what
one
we have
side.
now.
At 129th and Parish, we made a diagonal sidewalk to get from Parish and 129th into the interior sidewalk, but we didn't make them add a sidewalk along 129th.
No, but we were going to.
At one point, we were.
We were going to.
But it's overkill having a sidewalk on both sides.
We were going to, and the compromise was to put that access sidewalk in from the stop sign to the interior of Montessori there.
But again, it's a sidewalk to nowhere.
But
Yeah.
the kids won't walk to school because it's too far for them, so they have to take a bus according to the school district's rules.
Yeah.
If it's over a mile, they gotta take a bus.
No, that's not true. We don't-
That's what I was told.
we can't even provide them sidewalks, so no one can safely go to school. A mile is traditional in other places that there's sidewalks. We can't provide these kids with sidewalks. That's why everyone takes the bus. I would
I
love
think
my
that
child
the
to go
idea
to school.
is good, it's sound, and if we can fill the piggy bank to interconnect various urban centers, there's logic behind it, especially with the price of gas. But if there's legalities or other reasons why we shouldn't do it, then let's just drop it. If we resurrect it someday, so be it, we'll kick ourselves on the butt for doing so probably, but can't keep beating a dead horse.
I would like the number from John. I'd like a number.
Back
At
5
this
years.
rate. Yeah, no, back 5 years.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt keeping it out there.
Yeah, I
A
mean,
work session item for another
Yeah.
meeting or two.
I would like to know what legalities we could get into if we do that.
Right.
Well, as Dave said, it's
The charges are required to be objective, non-discriminatory, and uniformly applied. You can't treat people differently, and you cannot treat people inappropriately. That's the problem here.
And treating people inappropriately would even include legacy lots.
It would, in my opinion.
Okay.
So then, based
It's gonna
on.
be challenged, it's gonna be all
Sir,
challenged.
Council's
Yeah, it would be all.
recommendations, we drop this subject.
Yeah.
Next item.
Okay.
Sidewalks are,
Forget, you don't have to do the study, Don.
sidewalks are not, and
I'm curious.
blown away.
I am very curious.
Yeah, give us a number.
Sorry, Dave.
There was a day, and there are only a couple of us in this room who know that day, when we didn't see sidewalks where they're at. We didn't see we didn't even see the foreseeability. You're talking, and I'm walking proof. I ran around this town thousands of times.
Yeah.
And never on a sidewalk, never had a prayer of a sidewalk, and it has fueled my burn, and Don knows this, and Chris Salatas now knows it, Rick Everly knew it, the burn for sidewalk enhancement and improvements, connecting Lemon Lake to Robbins Nest, connecting Founder's Creek Trail that we've bought lots for, making the Morse Street sidewalk pedestrian path happen. We run sidewalks out into the middle of cornfields that end in anticipation that those sidewalks are going to continue. It's not going away. We're gonna enhance and continue that. You've done a great job here. Our town leadership has done a great job of emphasizing it. Right now, the sidewalk from the roundabout to the town hall, that's an initiative that's gonna happen. The money's available. All we have to do is get ourselves in position. Don and his team are working on the Founder's Creek situation. Chris and Don and I had a discussion specifically about that. So, while not every person is gonna get to school walking today, someday they are. But we have to take it a bite at a time. Cedar Lake has come so far. It's come so far. We just can't take our foot off the pedal to get it there. So, we talked about grants. We talked about acquainting ourselves with the NERC, non-motorized pedestrian division on funding. Our developers are well aware of what we need, what we require, and what will have to happen for them to get approvals. And that's not gonna stop. We can see it now on 41. Route 41, these attorneys who are in here tonight, perfect spot. It's a great place for their practice. It's a great place for their vision. And we're gonna see sidewalks down to the middle school out of this, because they're kicking the next step of development into gear.
Yeah.
You know, until that happened, that lot sat there, well, since God put it there, with weeds and brush and a couple of dilapidated signs, for sale. That's gonna change. So, Heather, you're right about the burn, and don't let us forget it. We need to stay on the burn. But exchanging money from people who don't get the benefit probably is problematic in that fashion. It's just this attorney's view of it.
Okay. Well, I'd still like a number, Don, but at this point, I think we'll table this unless we can resurrect it in some fashion. Next agenda item is item 11. There's been talk of moving the meeting time. We've done that with the BZA. And the meetings haven't gotten any shorter, they've gotten longer. So, as you can imagine, I'm just a little bit hesitant about that.
Well, we run into a problem anyway with, safe buildings, unsafe building.
Yeah, they run over all the time. You think they can get through their agenda in some unsafe building, either up or down.
Rick chairs it, and he says he doesn't want to move after us. We moved it earlier, so.
I absolutely think we should move this meeting time up, because our agendas only keep getting longer, we're going on 10 o'clock.
Oh, we've been here after
You're
11.
assuming.
I get it.
Yeah, but you're assuming we won't still be here after that.
They've been ran into us for a while.
No, we moved up to.
Well, we now have Chris and Kristen that are gonna help us.
Christina.
Christina. We're gonna make these meetings much more succinct by being more organized on that side of the wall. How's that sound? You like it? Up, down, yes? Deadlines are deadlines, and we're gonna rock and roll.
We'll see what happens. I'm promoting to 6 o'clock.
Okay. Think about 6 o'clock next week. We will leave that on the agenda. Next week we'll vote on it.
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks, sorry, Bob, yes.
And that would just be for the study session?
No, everything.
Safe building meets at 6.
Oh, geez.
Why can't you guys meet at 5:30? And if you run a little bit over, you run a little bit over.
When can we meet?
How many of you are retired?
Well, we have to change it first before we can vote on ours.
Grab a snack, girl, come back to work.
And there again, you gotta look at the people that need to appear here. They may not get off work until 5 o'clock and.
We tried to move stormwater to 5:30 once, but that didn't work out.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of backlash.
I've been to a lot of those unsafe building meetings, no one really shows up anyway.
Yeah, we got it at 6:30. It wasn't 5:30, 6.
Very few. Not up here. Oh, Sarah.
Well, let's just leave it 7 o'clock, then we'll drive our boat over here at nighttime. I think, Jerry.
It's dark leaving either way.
That's right, it's dark leaving either way.
We just gotta watch out for the obstructions.
Yep,
There'll be some new obstructions.
There will be. New marinas going in anywhere.
You got lights on your boat. There's a speed limit at night.
That doesn't mean you won't hit something, go wait. 10's a pretty good clip.
All right,
All right,
Leave it alone.
we're gonna leave this alone, Item 12, Monastery Woods North subdivision. Evidently, that's, being resurrected in some fashion.
Never heard.
We have a Christopher Burke, letter,
I think there's a developer.
yes.
Yeah.
You're on the developer. There's a whole bunch of points here. Does everyone, have that in there?
I do.
Okay. Christopher Burke, Don Oliphant has made some,
The memo is meant
points.
it's meant to summarize basically changes from the old development standards and subdivision ordinance when the original Monastery Woods was approved in 2017-ish, or 2007, sorry. As you can see, there's been a lot of changes in our ordinances since that was approved. So this is just a really quick summary of kind of things that would have to be updated. They went with the same plan.
Christina, could you, send everybody, or Ashley, send everybody this little bit or do you guys have in your emails already for the agenda?
It's on the iPad.
What's this?
Yeah, it's in the iPad. Yeah, but I was thinking they weren't gonna read it now.
Well, this is in our packet they sent us.
It's in the email?
You
Okay.
can send it out separately though, so it's not in a 145-page document.
Okay.
I think that's more efficient.
Yeah, April Fool's.
Yeah.
Right, Heather?
Yeah.
Right, every word.
That was what Heather asked me. She said, "Is that new girl think April Fool's lasts all week?"
I mean, I've never seen a 145-page agenda.
Well, we had the ordinance, the new ordinance was like 162.
Yeah.
So we were getting close to a record. So, okay, is there anything else with this neighborhood down that, you see, being snagged?
No, I think you probably should hear from the new developer.
Oh, okay, somebody's here for this. Okay, it doesn't say concept, sorry, come on up here.
Hanging out all meeting.
All right.
I brought over what seems to be the full engineering plans, but I have a thumb drive with them on there as well, but.
Why don't you give the engineering plans to?
We got them. They're the original,
Oh, you already
we
got
got them.
You got them? Okay.
You have the original ones, those are original? Okay.
Well, these are a copy of the original,
Okay.
but I just in case brought it. I'm west with access.
So, did you do the first part of Monastery North?
Well, I believe that was V3. We kind of recovered the lots. We did the extension on 127th, where they'd kind of left off in the middle and.
What, are you with Access?
Yes.
What is your name?
Wes Moran.
Wes?
I'm gonna get back to the park thing. You know, that neighborhood originally started, there were just, 8 or 10 homes, and the park was in there and done. And, that's how I think these parks should be.
Well.
Not when the final phase. That's why I asked about the phases.
I'd say this, that subdivision, Monastery Woods North, has way too small of lots,
Yes,
number
sir.
one.
Yes, sir.
Number two, the north, whatever was designed years ago on the north side, they got approved, it's expired, it's history. I think we should, if some of it works based on what we think is good today, then we keep it. If it doesn't, we don't.
You mean,
Because
you mean this new submission?
Yes.
Okay.
The north, the new undeveloped
Yeah.
portion, because it's just too tight. Those poor folks, I know a lot of them, they're great people.
Generally,
You gotta have variances for everything with
80
those
by 117
itty
lots.
bitty backyards and
They're
stuff.
not tiny.
Well,
The present
they're-
ones or the new
yes,
section?
Well, no, I think
Well,
they're
no,
all
the-
relatively
the-
the same. They're
the-
about 80 by 117.
The existing, some of those existing homes have such elevation changes in the backyards. It makes it very difficult to do anything.
Yeah.
There's a shed, I can't think of the address. The back of that shed, 3 people could crawl under. That's what a
Part of the
problem.
reason that's happened is that we didn't have rear drainage standards in place then. So there's a lot of overland flow paths back there. It was very.
No, there's drains here. There's
Well, I
some drains
know,
here.
but the spacing is much tighter now.
Yeah.
Jerry, can I?
Yeah.
1 second?
Yeah.
I don't even know what we're talking about here. I mean, I know the subdivision, but what are you trying to propose?
We're looking to continue the development in the northeastern corner of, Cary Street.
Okay.
Have you ever driven all the way back there as far as you can drive?
I have.
Okay. He's gonna continue on from there.
Okay. And how many lots are we talking?
I would say, I believe it's another 50 lots in that particular section.
I think it's about 100 total. About
100 total lots?
Another 100?
Well, on both lobes.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
He's just talking northeast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's roughly
So,
same.
so what is the middle, Don? What is the?
The platted outlot that was platted as part of phase one, so it includes one of the detention basins and then just an open area. It's a wetland area.
Yeah.
Okay, so the green area is wetland area.
Yeah, this is owned by the Monastery Homeowner Association right now.
Got it. Got it. So,
That's platted. These are the
Wes, you're talking about the northeast side of it, so the east side of
In
the.
particular,
You own both sides though, right?
yes, yes.
Okay.
But if you look at those lots that are there now, if they put a deck, they have an itty bitty pool and there's no yard left. It's brutal.
I agree.
Or you bring the new
that's
portion closer to the road, since it's kind of a dead end, quiet neighborhood, we don't need a 30-foot setback maybe.
What is the lot size we like, if it's flat, 100 by, or
10,000
80?
square feet.
Yeah, 10,000, but there was a
80 by
150
125.
deep or 130 deep?
125.
That seemed to work out fairly well for a lot of things.
What kind of lot size are you thinking here?
Well,
25 by 80 is 10,000.
yeah, let's see,
So I think part of the reason that he's here is that there's been talk about, obviously, you guys are building from your last lots that you own.
yes.
And extending it, if they are coming in with almost identical plans, can we potentially, and this is, extend the preliminary plat?
Oh, got it, okay. I don't have anything here, so
Yeah.
I'm in the dark. Got it.
So, I mean, there is design drawings from V3 from 2008 that has this all designed and engineered. There's a lift station that's already in at 127th and Cary. And everything was approved back in 2008.
In in phases?
Yeah, so they final platted as they went. The recession came, B3 Realty went belly up. It's been in, I think, the bank's hands for 10 years at least, until Accent came and bought the parcels. So
And they're hoping to just inherit what
that
was
would be
agreed
the
upon
easiest
before.
route for them.
Yeah.
But he's kind of here as a, asking, what do you want from me?
Yeah, what lot sizes are you proposing on that northeast side? And that would be one of your phases? That
Yeah,
would be-
one of two, there would only be the one on, Hess Street and the one on Cary Street. It cul-de-sacs in the north on both occasions, a little bit of green space in between, and, the proposed, I'm going to guess it's about the same as before, but we could probably, and I'm speaking without my dad to say exactly what he wants to do, but, we were looking to change some of the lots if need be to, make things better for, like you said, you really can't do a pool, you can't do many structures in the backyard, or a deck even in some cases, if you have a garage that's,
Yeah, you have extra deep garage.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you have there? Do you have the 2008 layout for that?
Yes.
Well, so what are you showing for lot sizes then?
Well,
Some of those are actually bigger. I remember this clearly. This is how I got involved in sitting in this chair.
yeah, I believe there are some considerably larger lots. I haven't had a chance to go through this in particular.
I was just curious.
Next month.
We're looking at, that's the wrong one.
Pictures.
We can pull out our plans too.
Yeah.
Get our.
We have it all.
We have it all. We looked at
Forgive
it
me,
all.
I spent a little bit of my time running around getting
Yeah.
copies of these things.
Yeah.
Take a look at it.
I think, Dave?
Part of the reason, I think Mr. Moran is here is because of discussions that are going on about resolving or addressing wastewater problems
Yes,
and connection of sanitary sewers.
correct.
for remedial steps related to discharges and just off-site to them, issues that we're facing. And their continued development is a solution in part to what we faced by way of probably 40 years of, problems.
The two addresses off Parish?
12546 and 12548 Parish.
Okay.
I cite them backwards and forwards.
I don't think anybody here has an issue with what you're proposing to work on, but there's a lot of details. And, until I know exactly what you want to inherit, as Heather said, you know, we don't want any more lot like John's talking about. I mean, it's not good.
And some of them may be fixed, but some of those lots were bigger.
Well,
and I didn't sit up here at that time, but I can tell you, neither is anyone else. So we should put this on next month?
Yeah, I agree.
Review it and get on the agenda and...
Yeah, I think, if you go back to next month's work session with some good hard, information, and we'll have some information from 2008.
Okay.
I think we can, make some headway here.
Sounds good.
And, you know, the sewer and the lift station and all that stuff, we'll talk about what happens when we get to the far north end.
Okay.
We'll work out all those details.
Yeah, we'll put our heads together, take a hard look at it, and come back next month.
Yeah, this is the most, almost done project we have around here. Everything's ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, does anybody have any questions for Wes?
No, sir.
No, good.
Okay. You said good?
Good, I mean, it's all good.
Okay, all right. Good, nobody's got any questions. Okay, yeah, next month work sessions.
All right.
Any information you can get staff to get to us, that'd be great.
Is there a deadline for next month's, work session to be able to get on the?
Friday before at noon.
Okay, sounds good.
No, I don't think that was his question. Can you just be on the agenda? I mean, there's documents, we have documents.
Yeah, we have documents.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, he said something about the submission. Yeah, we're gonna leave this, we're gonna put this on the work session, the next
Oh,
work
it'll
session.
be on there, okay.
Yeah, it'll be on the next work
Yeah.
session.
Okay.
So, whatever you can.
And Chris,
Yeah.
we have everything in a computer for this subdivision from 2007.
You haven't heard that in the last 8 days, have you?
Are you sure it's in the computer?
Yeah. You still using Ian's computer?
If it's sitting on those left there.
We got it, we got a copy of it. Digital.
Hey, John, everything is not here.
I know. That was a little bit,
Yeah. Okay, you good, Wes?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Three more things real quick. Update items 10, 13212 Wicker Avenue. Performance letter of credit expires May 21st. Are we not concerned about that?
We're working on as-built review right now. There may be a potential concern.
Okay. There was also supposed to be assurance brought here for the screening to the west of that property. That's what I was
Not
told.
up yet.
That's not up yet.
It's posted a yard bond is what I understand.
Oh, it was, okay, there was something here.
I believe
for assurance.
that.
Okay, all right. Okay, then, yeah, keep us posted on that. Hanover Community School Corporation forms letter of credit expires May 24th. Where's that at, Don?
I haven't heard anything about them. I'm betting that one's gonna have to be extended.
Okay.
They're questioning why it has to be extended. They feel as a tax levying agency that they don't need to do so.
They don't have as-built?
Does that fall in the special category that schools find themselves always in, the special?
Legacy schools.
Public improvements are not completed yet.
Okay, everybody clear on that?
Yeah.
Okay, item 3, Lakeview Business Park Development Plan. Is that forthcoming, or?
It is. We ran into a snag in the last week related to water utility extension reimbursement, and law that is now in place under HEA 1131 that changes responsibilities and who the players are and who knows what to who. We're working it out, to tell you that. It's
Okay.
top on the for everybody.
Is, just out of curiosity, is that holding up any of their,
It probably
movements?
won't, it probably
Okay.
won't. We'll be meeting in the next 2 business days. I'm waiting for template documentation from Indianapolis, our utility council down there. And everything's in place otherwise, by the way.
okay,
That project's ready to go, but for the water main extension agreement.
We filed for the final plat for the June meeting.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we just did that yesterday, right? Or 2 days
I need
ago.
this up, but I need the application, remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a nice industrial,
Okay.
industrial park. It's gonna be
Yeah,
nice.
so
Yeah,
we'll
driven through.
complete that application process first.
Should be-
And we may end up doing this
no, I
contingent.
don't go driving around other people's property.
So we
No,
can,
it's-
if they need to.
Yeah. Bull crap, you can drive around the barricades, over the socks, and everything. Anyways, you have the green machine.
That's right.
Okay, public comment.
Good evening. Ken Pullen, 13641 Morse Street, here representing Cedar Lake United Methodist Church. We have a petition or a permit request before you for a final plat subdivision consideration. And I believe our surveyor has given response to Mr. Oliphant's, all of Mr. Oliphant's questions except one. And I'm here to share that with you. It was concerning signage. Our variance allows for 2 signs on the property. One was in the survey drawing repositioned closer to the corner of 137th Place and Morse Street, and we've abandoned that idea. So we will retain its present position with setbacks and all of that in its location on Morse Street. So if you drive by there, you'll see the bell over it right now. So we will modify that sign, but it will be in that location.
Good.
Okay?
So the variance is not.
The variance was on the second sign, and that will go on the food pantry.
Oh.
It will go above the awning, and it will not be lit.
Okay, that was my concern.
Okay? That will just be an identification sign without any electronics.
Okay.
That's all I was thinking about.
Okay, so I believe we've satisfied.
I don't think Mr. Arden has given me the actual final plat yet. Those are all the existing preliminary plat things that we worked out from our letter from like 3 years ago. I don't think he's actually given me the final plat yet. I'll ask him, and I'll double check. But,
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, the email I received from him on Sunday night
yeah, I think we'll be fine.
addressed all of the concerns.
That was our preliminary plat letter though, so there's a final one to follow that.
Okay.
Are they on the agenda
Well-
in 2 weeks for final?
We're not.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Okay, because that was in the
We need to
petition. We
put
got
on-
the extension at your last
Yeah.
formal meeting, and we were hoping to get
Yeah.
the final at this coming meeting.
And they turned in stuff in 2018,
Yeah.
and we never scheduled
Well, I
anything.
think we're
Well, that was
still,
preliminary.
yeah, so we're just waiting on that one little,
I think
that word to be
blame that on
removed.
COVID.
Huh?
2018?
So Christina, in 2 weeks, we need to have them on our meeting.
On the meeting for final plat approval, and we will get you
If
whatever
you
we
pull the
need
drawers
by then.
out of the file
I'm gonna
cabinet, check
check
behind
We
it.
don't have a final plat yet.
I don't think so, but I'll double check.
Put it on you.
No, there is a way.
That's why I
That's
think
a problem.
Meetings.
you can acquire
This,
some.
this thing took off and,
I'll
Never
check
got
with,
the finish line.
with Bill.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll check with him.
just please alert me, and, I mean, if we need to bump it to May, that's okay, but I'd like to
We
get
did
this
this long,
resolved.
okay.
So I just wanted to answer the one question he couldn't.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
But it actually, none of this hurts you. You've done all that you're gonna do, it's just catching the paper.
I understand, but I just wanted, yeah, I can't retire till this is done.
Well, in that case,
Perhaps.
Bob,
Perhaps another day. Bobby,
One of them retire.
Okay.
All right, hey, Pastor Kenny, what
All
can I
right.
say? They saved the best for last, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
It's that did nothing for how long?
2.5 years.
Okay, all right. So you got 2.5 years left.
3.5 years.
Another one.
Jared, can we talk about one more, go back to the school project a second?
The school project we heard about tonight?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we know when they dropped the bomb? and the, stuff. And that's a Friday night dump beyond description, really.
Well, it's supposed to
You
be
guys
by
know
noon.
when you got it?
I don't know when it came in because there was never an application filed. So in my mind, the applications came in Friday, that's a new filing. So to me, like not knowing the history of the petition, that's a filing on the April 1st deadline for the May meeting. So I wasn't aware of like the extension that it sounds like they were granted.
No, there was no granting of anything.
There was no granting, they
came to a
changed it,
meeting
that's
here.
why Don was sitting here mumbling, you briefly, you go, they gotta refile.
Well,
I heard you say that.
With the legal
with
description.
the legal description.
Legal description.
Yeah. Because their initial filing wouldn't included that one lot.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong, but even on the new documents, it doesn't look like the legal changed. So if you can review that, because that's not my,
Yeah, send it to me, I'll take a look.
No, he Dropboxed it to you.
Well, I asked him, he's like, well, I was just told to send it to her. I was like, you know to send it to everybody.
And I don't know who would have told them that, because they never contacted me at all, they didn't Dropbox it to me, because between her and I
I don't know
we were at
where,
the meeting.
I don't know where it went.
no, no,
You didn't get it, I didn't get it, you
I-
didn't get it?
Do you have it? Do you have
I
it?
got that.
Okay, you have it.
Everything,
Okay.
there's also drawings on a flash drive and a roll of them.
Of course
But
there is.
we got a lot of stuff in for May that I need to scan in, and I assumed I would just send all of the May stuff
Sure.
in like one link for review, to, you know, everyone who reviewed it in the town. So if that was my misunderstanding, I apologize, but,
No, they changed some things and,
and, I mean, I was informed by their engineer that they hadn't filed those petitions yet. So, and we talked on the phone about advertising, and they said, go ahead with primary, and then we'll deal with the rezone and all those site plans and advertise later. So
If
there's-
that legal is not correct, wouldn't be okay.
It's not complete.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like,
They're in
even in the
trouble.
new filings, I want you to look at that, because to
Yeah.
me, it looks the same,
Okay,
so.
well, it'd be pretty easy.
Well, then they just need
It
to
would be really
amend their,
good. Now they really gotta be pushed.
application to, have the complete legal.
Not send you a Christmas card.
It's a simple fix,
Never said.
What?
but it's not accurate.
So we need to look at it, because there was a lot that came in on Friday. So maybe just all of the legals weren't updated, possibly one of them was.
There were never any promises made at that March 10th meeting about getting approvals in 2 weeks.
No.
We said you needed
There
to
wasn't,
submit it.
Don?
There's
No.
a commitment
Never.
to a strong effort.
Yeah, there was
That's what we-
no
that's what we
guarantee
promised.
that they were going to be approved.
Strong effort, but no guarantee.
Right.
But even if they gave us everything, and we knew they gave us everything
They
Friday at
really
noon,
really
it's
friggin' nice.
difficult
Really do.
to even get through it by
Checking my,
Absolutely.
messages.
They asked,
It's engineering
Well,
document.
with a project like that.
Yeah.
especially changing the zoning.
Yeah.
We haven't even seen. This is a long process for a TV, so.
Yeah.
The attorney called me twice, and I returned his call both times, and we never connected in the last month.
Well, at least the stuff's here.
We'll make our best efforts.
And if you get-
I still don't have it,
Dropbox
so I
for
need to
shoes,
get
use
it.
shoes and gloves.
I'll send out everything.
Okay,
Okay.
if the legal's not right, then
Then there's problems.
they're gonna be in a big hurry.
We'll check it.
It's pretty easy.
It might be right.
Okay,
Okay.
does anybody have anything else? Heather, you have a question?
I do have a question. I need to wrap my head around how the Shander concept plan is different than what happened on Moore Street.
Who's
Because the assurance,
Mr.
because
Taylor.
there were never any assurances, there were never any assurances collected
No,
for the improvements.
The Morse, the family that wanted to build up on top of Morse behind this, the road stopped, turned to gravel.
Yes,
The utility stopped.
yes,
They were asking for these same sorts of waivers on the road, the curbs and gutters, they had an ingress egress agreement
Yes.
put together.
You're talking
Tell you the difference.
You're talking about.
I've never seen you raise your hand before.
no, this, I'm gonna tell you why, because these waivers for Colfax were already waived.
But
And
they
they
were
run with,
waived,
and they run with the land.
but they were waived for a 4-lot subdivision. How do we have to honor waivers that was for a completely different plan?
Well, you don't, that's why they're standing here in front of you again.
Okay, so that's not true, so
What?
give me another reason.
I thought,
So that parcel that we're talking about, at the top of the hill right there.
Yes.
It had numerous differences, I guess. It didn't front on a public right of way at all. So they needed the ingress egress across private land to even get access to theirs, which
That was
also,
done. That was done. The agreement was made.
which is fine. And then that's still not, they wouldn't be required to do any public improvements at that time because they don't front any public right of way. They would somehow have to get their utility service fees to wherever the utilities are.
They were gonna do that.
that was discussed on the left side.
Yeah, wherever the main dead ends.
Yeah?
But this kind of gets around the subdivision because there's no public frontage you need to improve. Whereas the Taylor, that entire western side is all public.
Right, so why are their waivers okay when they weren't gonna get those waivers?
They just needed different waivers.
Curb and gutter and,
They wouldn't have to do that because there's no public right of way up there. They need to improve.
okay, that is not
It
what
was
they
a
were.
it was a two-lot subdivision, I think it was gonna be a two-lot subdivision.
Well, historically, before the new zoning ordinance, this board denied applications that didn't, for lots that did not improve on a public way. Another example of that would be Bannon's parcel, just across the street. That was on a private road, he wanted to do a two-lot subdivision, one of his lots didn't touch a public right-of-way and it was denied. The new zoning ordinance is a little more lenient in the fact that kind of the Perez parcel, the second lot doesn't technically, it doesn't have to be a public way now, it just has to be an improved roadway. So the new ordinance kind of opens it up a little bit for lots like this that are essentially landlocked.
So,
That don't
sounds
touch
to me like there's a new plan, which is the old plan,
With new people.
perhaps.
It's probably a beautiful view up there,
Or,
I'm guessing.
or, got that big ravine next to it, beautiful.
I bet it's beautiful, yeah.
So I mean, with that one, they would likely still have to improve through the Zaborski parcel, because it still needs to be improved to a certain part. The Perez's are basically improving their driveway in a way that meets the obligations to it. But there's some leniency in the new ordinance where it doesn't have to be 36 feet back-to-back curb. It doesn't necessarily have to be a full pavement, well, it does have to be a full pavement depth, but your widths don't have to be the same. So there's a lot more wiggle room in the new ordinance versus the old one. So it may be an easier application at this point. We still have to figure out utilities.
Well, the utilities was discussed on the left side.
Yeah, but most likely it would just be a long service line that would be totally private and the homeowner's responsibility to maintain.
Yeah. And then there was gonna be a shared drive agreement, right?
So I mean, the key part is if you're on a public frontage, subdivision ordinance requires you to approve it. They technically don't have any kind of public frontage, so they wouldn't have those requirements.
That same thing happened to my sister back, Dave, what, 70s, 80s? She wanted to build a house in my grandpa's wood, which is now my home. She wanted to build a home back there, but there was no road there. They just wanted to put a driveway off the parish going across basically someone else's property. They got denied, and then, back then I remember she never understood it. I'm like, well, it's real simple. There's no road touching your property. So it's similar to that. You have to have a means to get there, and a place to start. So if you know those people, maybe they'll still come back.
No, they're done here.
Well, I think, is there any other public comment? Heather? I'm not even gonna ask if you have any more questions. No wonder you take the lights off. Okay, meeting over.
Yeah, hit the gavel, Jeremy.